All right, good evening, Bronx. Let's hear it. I'd like to invite up your council member, Fernando Cabrera. And your mayor, Bill de Blasio. So before we begin, I'd like to invite up Brianna Agipong to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. All right, give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, Brianna. I'd like to thank our co-sponsors for this evening, Bronx Community Board 5. All right. Bronx Community Board 7. That's better. Bronx Community Board 8. The Davison Community Center. Kingsbridge Road Merchants Association. Fordham Hill Owners Corp. Yeah, there you go. And of course, I'd like to thank Deidre Spencer, principal of the Creston Academy, which is hosting us this evening. So before we hear from the council member and the mayor, I'd like to invite up some more special guests, starting with our district attorney, Darcel Clark.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here this evening. I'm so glad to see so many community residents out. We know that this has been a tough time for this community, as you know, we all know, and I'm sure we'll discuss a lot more later on about the tragic death of police officer, now Detective Familia. I can say that I know her and my office did, because not only was she part of the 4-6 family, but she also was part of the Bronx Courts family. She worked in my office in the complaint room, helping us to expedite the arrests and everything like that. So, it was a great loss to all of us. And I think that what we have to do now is build on her legacy, because she meant so much. She was a great person. She loved everyone. And we have to take lessons from that to know that we have to love each other and help each other. And that we have to learn how to respect each other and the men and women in blue who protect us every day, because that's the job. They put their lives on the line every day, as she did. So let's use tonight to be able to do that. I know that I'm living on with her legacy to make sure I continue to do all I can to protect this community and the entire Bronx. I'd like to thank the mayor, of course, for all the assistance and the money that he's given to the DA's office to make sure that we can do the work so that you can have a DA's office that you deserve. And we're making sure we have indictments against those. There's a person in March that shot 5 people in this area. There's a number of people that have been arrested for gun possession. We're doing all that we can to make sure we fight it. But I can't do it without you as well. So let's use tonight to build on those things that we can do everything we can to make our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Your DA, Darcel Clark. Tonight I'd like to invite up your Assembly Member, Victor Pichardo.
Oh, that was awesome. First of all, I want to make sure that I keep my remarks brief. First of all, I want to thank Mayor de Blasio, my colleague as well, Councilmember Cabrera. Also, I want to really quickly turn to the sort of the West Bronx Dream Team, male and female district leaders Tim Tapia and Udelka Tapia, State Committeeman Jose Mota and Bernice Williams. So please give them a round of applause. So we live in tough times, ladies and gentlemen. It's not, everybody recognizes that, people understand. These kind of forums, what they do is, hey, they help bring communities together, but more importantly, that there's a dialogue between your government, that your tax dollars pay all our salaries, and the community. So I appreciate the mayor for putting this together. I appreciate my colleague as well, Councilmember Cabrera, for putting this together, but let's have a healthy, respectful dialogue. But more importantly, this is an opportunity to have your government responsive to you. So thank you very much, and let's have a very healthy debate.
Thank you, Assemblymember Pichardo. And now, your council member, Fernando Cabrera.
Come on, let's give it up for the commissioner. They worked so hard, and all the staff, my staff and the mayor's staff done a fantastic, fantastic job. Let me just share right from the beginning how proud I am of our community. We lost a great, now detective familia, and you were there. I saw you at the prayer vigil. I saw you at the wake. I saw you by the numbers at the funeral. I want you to give yourself a big round of applause for showing up and showing some love. That's a demonstration of love. I am really excited that we have the mayor here tonight. I've been a council member now for almost 8 years. I have to say that, and this is his first term, the predecessor never stepped foot in this. Come on, can I keep it real? Can I keep it real? In this side of town. But when we called the mayor's office and we called upon the mayor to come here tonight, there was no hesitation and there was no procrastination. So, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for being here tonight. So I believe 90% is showing up. 90% is showing up. And I know you have concerns. I know you have questions. I know you have observations. And we welcome that tonight. And what I will ask you is in one thing, and that is to focus on solutions. I want us to become solution-focused. It's easy to blame, it's easy to say this and that, and we need to obviously be objective about what is the situations that we need to target upon, but let's look for some viable solutions. I believe that there's enough ideas in this room to take our neighborhood to the next level, to the next level. And perhaps you didn't know, but the 3 precincts that I represent in my district, we have seen crime go down this last year 22%. Can you give it up for the NYPD? Come on. I know it's easy to say, to allow ourselves to be stigmatized because of one event or 2 events, but the fact is that in the last few years, not just this year, we have seen crime go down. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, also for the influx of funding, unprecedented in the Parks Department. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. There's never been a mayor that has put so much money into parks. And your Parks Department, alongside with Commissioner Silver, that every time we had called upon, we have projects that were stuck because the previous administration was not moving them. As soon as this administration came in, now you could go to 181st Street, which is dedicated Grand Avenue Park, a 21st century intergenerational park. Can somebody get excited about that? Come on, somebody. This is your neighborhood. Manhole Park, St. James Park right now. You go to St. James Park. We have the best soccer field in all of the Bronx now. We have a new basketball court, and now we're going to have a brand new handball court. We have the world champion handball player in the world right from our neighborhood. Now we're going to get a brand new handball court and tennis courts. I could go all along in our district. Our schools are getting better. But there are situations that I know that tonight we're going to tackle. And I could tell you this, because I've seen it firsthand, and I have seen the mayor's community department that they follow through. Everything that you're going to mention tonight is not going to go into thin air. They're literally going to take notes for those who are in the overflow room. That, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you our beloved New York City Mayor de Blasio. Come on, let's give it up. We welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm so appreciative that you're here tonight. And I'd like to begin with that. When we have a town hall meeting, it is a statement of commitment. The people who show up on a hot summer night, it means you care, it means you're going the extra mile for your neighborhood. And there's been some things in the last months that may have been a little confusing to us about the political process. But I'll tell you something, when you come to a town hall meeting, it gives you faith in democracy again. Because everyone is here equally with concern, with ideas, with questions. And it's a chance for us to have a real conversation. So I want to thank everyone here for being such a good member of this community, such a committed member of this community. Give yourselves a round of applause for that, please. And I want to thank everyone who made this event possible. I want to thank, and I think it's very touching, every time we get to be reminded of what is a real living thing called the American dream, to have this young woman, Brianna, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Her family is from Ghana, and she now epitomizes everything about America that's great in her wonderful presentation. Thank you. I want to thank my colleagues, before talking about the council member, to say to our district attorney district attorney, you've been a great partner. And it's good there are shows on TV that explain what district attorneys do, okay? They're all a little more stodgy than you. You're much cooler. But at least people learn what they do. And now we know what a central role district attorneys play in public safety. And I'm going to talk about the challenges we've faced. But I have to say, since Darcel Clark became the district attorney, we've seen extraordinary things happening in the Bronx. And so, yes, I have been privileged to send some resources your way because I know you use them so well and you're making the Bronx safer. Let's thank her for all she does. And Assemblymember Victor Pichardo has been a tremendous ally in Albany. You know, when you send a good young man to Albany to represent you, Albany's not an easy place, particularly when someone is representing the interests in New York City. But Victor, you've been a real stalwart and a key ally, and I want to thank you for all you do. Let's thank him for his great public service. And your councilman, you know he is unique among the 51 council members. He's the only minister among them. So, you know, for all of you who are old enough to remember the old Hebrew National ad where at the end it says he answers to a higher authority, you know? So Councilman, we've known each other a long time. And I was struck when I first got to meet him how his ministry of his church connected to the ministry that is public service, and how he was so keenly concerned to address particularly economic injustice. And we'll be talking about that a lot tonight, the things we're trying to do to create a more fair economic reality for the people of this city. And this is something that's been the core of what this administration has been about, why we came here. We know this is a tough city to live in. We know it's an expensive city to live in. We want to make sure New Yorkers can live in their own city. And I got to tell you time and time again, Councilman Cabrera has been leading the way in the City Council for that kind of fairness and equity. Let's thank him for all he does. And finally, I have the privilege of working with all these good people. And you have here the leaders of a lot of the city agencies, the people who really have a huge impact on your neighborhood and your lives. We announced today, for example, something that will unite all New Yorkers of all backgrounds and all beliefs. We are starting a war against rats, okay? You know? You see? If you're a real New Yorker, you really don't like rats. And so we announced today the beginning of a whole new approach. So a lot of that is going to fall to the two people right at the end of the row here, our Sanitation Commissioner, Catherine Garcia, and our Parks Commissioner, Mitch Silver. Go get those rats. So you have the Sanitation Commissioner, you have the Parks Commissioner, you have a lot of other heads of major agencies that affect your lives. You have our police leadership, and we cannot thank them enough times. Thank them all for what they have achieved. So I say that to tell you, sometimes you'll ask a question or raise something I will ask one of my colleagues to help answer, but also at the end of the meeting, and this meeting will go to 9:30 or later, if you want to stay, we're going to be here. So, but at the very end of the meeting, even if you didn't get your question answered, all these folks are still available, and you can walk right up to these very important people and talk to them about your concern, and please do. And what I like to remind people that every time we have a town hall meeting, you might be concerned that you'd be keeping them here late if you were to talk to them. You don't have to worry about that. They are so hardworking. They will stay here all night if you want them to. Isn't that beautiful? Give them a round of applause for that. So, I want to reflect for a moment. It's been a very, very tough few days. And sometimes, I know we see this, sometimes it feels like some communities just hit a horrible, tough stretch. You know, we not only lost now Detective Familia, we had the horrible incident at Bronx Lebanon Hospital just days before. Sometimes it seems like trouble visits us over and over again. And it's been a tough, tough time. But I want to echo what my colleague said. You know, in the middle of the tough time, we saw some very beautiful things too. We saw an outpouring of love and support for the Familia family. And they knew it. I talked to them at length on Monday morning, and they were so struck by how many people, just everyday people, had sent their love. And I went to the 4-6 precinct last week, an amazing precinct, and heard from those officers about their pain, their loss, but also their love of this community. So we go through these tragedies, and we get so angry, so pained. We also see a lot of what's good about this community and about this city shine through. Now, I want to remind you, Bronx Lebanon Hospital, that horrible, horrible incident. By the way, the NYPD did a remarkable job, and the fire department responding to that crisis. Let's thank them for that. But we lost a young doctor who was just there. You probably heard the story. She was covering for someone else that day, just trying to do someone a favor. Dr. Tracy Sin Yi Tam, 32 years old. So, the doctor there trying to heal people, Officer Familia, now Detective Familia there trying to protect people. These are the folks we look up to. We want our children to aspire to be. Two good women taken from us. So please join me for a moment of silence for both of them. Thank you very much. You know, I'll just want to say this for a minute, then we're going to be opening up to your questions and your concerns. We have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of reason to be proud at how far our city's come, but we also have a lot of work to do. The achievements of the NYPD are just amazing. 25 years, it's almost literally a quarter century, the city has gotten consistently safer. But look at what these good men and women have to deal with every day. The constant flow of illegal guns into this city from elsewhere. And they do an amazing job trying to stop it, but they literally have the laws of the nation and other states working against them every single day. They have all of the ills of society that are not their responsibility, but still are visited on them. We're still fighting poverty. We're still fighting to get people opportunity they don't have. And all that manifests in what happens for our police every day. There are so many challenges. And one of the things we focus on the most in this administration is that it's not fair to ask our police officers, or by the way, our teachers or our EMTs or anyone to address the huge number of situations where people have a mental health challenge that has gone untreated. Because that's a huge problem in our society in general. 1 in 5 in this country and in this city, 1 in 5 people have had some kind of mental health challenge, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of who we are as human beings. And yet this whole society has never had a proper and respectful way to address those concerns. So our police officers, our teachers, our EMTs, all our ministers do their best. Well, this is one of the things we actually can change. My wife, Charlene, has led the charge to have a real mental health policy for this city, a real way for people to access help. And it can be done. And I want you to remember, if there's one thing you take from this town hall meeting, something she says to me all the time, every single kind of mental health challenge is treatable. You know, there are some physical health challenges, some diseases where they still don't have a treatment, but every mental health challenge is treatable. So I want to just ask you to remember a simple number. And it is a hotline that anyone can call, any New Yorker can call, free, 24/7, many languages. And it's got a simple number, it's easy to remember, 1-888 NYC well. I want you to repeat it with me. 1-888-NYC well. Anyone can call if they have a challenge themselves or a loved one needs help. And I want to ask you to use that. If someone needs help, we're going to get them help. It's as simple as that. We're going to help them get what they need, the appointment they need, the services they need, and it is free. So spread that word, because that's part of how we change things. Now, my friends, I just want to tell you a few other pieces of information. And I told you there's so much to appreciate about our police department. And we talk about the things that make us sad, but let's talk about something that should give us so much pride, and this is amazing. The 4-6 precinct, which has gone through so much. We started in the 4-6 precinct just over a year ago. April 2016, we started our neighborhood policing initiative. Our neighborhood coordinating officers were appointed in that precinct to work more closely with neighborhoods, to really build a relationship, to deepen the partnership between police and community. That was April of 2016. It is now July of 2017. In that time, crime is down in the 4-6 precinct over 13%. Isn't that amazing? And we are going to keep driving it down. I'm telling you this now, and I'll tell you something. I hear it from Commissioner O'Neill, and I hear it from the other leaders of the department, and they're so confident and comfortable saying we're going to drive down crime more. We know it can be done. And part of it is recognizing all the things we can do to help achieve that goal. Everybody in this room, and I think so many people are here who already feel that already, know we can help our police department by sharing information with them. We know we can help our police, and we can help our whole society by helping people get the mental health support they need, and now you know there's a single number you can call. But there's some other things we can do that just make it easier to keep things safe. I want to give you an example where we know there's been some real concern, and that's DeVoe Park. Who here lives near DeVoe Park? Okay. Now, I know right now there are not enough lights, and there's not a gate around the park, and that makes it hard. It's hard to enforce a curfew when there's no gate. Councilmember Cabrera has really pushed on this issue, so I am announcing tonight that we will be installing gates at all entrances to DeVoe Park. And we will be adding lighting around the park, including the fancy new LED bulbs. So things will be lit up well. The final thing I want to say to you, I'll give you one bit of news that will be helpful about what's going on with the weather. But before I do, I just want to say one more thing about another area we have a lot to be proud in, all of us. All of us have fought for a long time for better schools for our children. Okay? I want you to know we have a lot of work to do. I'm the first to say it, and we still have too many inequalities in our school system. But I also want you to know that by every measure we have, all the work that everyone's put in is working. Test scores keep going up. We are at the highest graduation rate in the history of New York City right now. Highest graduation ever. We have the lowest dropout rate in the history of New York City right now. We used to have a city where 4-year-olds were not guaranteed pre-K. Now every single 4-year-old is guaranteed pre-K. And if the councilman will help me and the assemblyman will help me, we want to provide that same opportunity to every 3-year-old in New York City. And I want you to know we believe in equality, we believe in fairness, and one thing I'm particularly proud of, and you know, some of you have heard me talk about the tale of two cities and the inequality that gripped this city for so long. You know, in some high schools in this city, there have been advanced placement courses, the highest level courses, college level courses that you could take as a high school student. Some high schools in the city have had them for generations. Generations. Other high schools, predominantly in communities of color, have never had a single AP course. That's the reality. Here's how things are going to go now. This is now the rule, the policy of this administration. Every single high school in New York City will have 5 advanced placement courses. Because every child, and Brianna's a good example. By the way, Brianna wants to be a surgeon, right? Correct? You can nod if I'm right. Every child who has potential needs to be given a chance to meet that potential. That's right there would be a good enough reason for what we're doing. But there's a second reason. You communicate a lot when you give opportunity or when you withhold it. Right? If you're a young person, you see the door is closed to you, it communicates a lot about your worth and your value. But if, conversely, you're a young person and you come in the door and we say, we want to talk to you about college-level courses because we know you're that good, that gives our young people heart and confidence. That's what we have to do every day. Give them that support in their own potential, right? Show them what they can achieve and show them how proud we are of them. And that's what we're going to do in this city. Finally, I mentioned the weather. It's hot outside. I'm going to now do the condensed weather report. It's hot outside. The National Weather Service has now issued a heat advisory. And that's going to go all the way till 6 p.m. tomorrow. So we got temperatures in the low 90s, but there will be times when it feels like 100 degrees or more. And so this is the chance to remind everyone, please spread the word. Stay hydrated. Stay indoors if you can. Check on your neighbors, particularly seniors. We will have tomorrow cooling centers open. If anyone's, their apartment's too hot, their building, is too hot, they need someplace to go, they can call 311 and get to a cooling center. So hopefully only till tomorrow evening, but please spread the word. So look, everyone, I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank you for how much you care about the community. And now I look forward to hearing from you. Our moderator will take over. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fantastic. So you're already giving instruction, and I know everybody got tons of questions. So we'll start over here with my... One per person.
One ground rule, everyone. When you ask, we like to, first of all, please avoid a lot of remarks. We want to hear your question or concern, but one question or concern per person so we can get to as many people as possible.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Hello.
I'm a Fordham Hill shareholder. Like many professionals, I invested in the Bronx, hoping to be a part of the wave of individuals that will elevate the borough. Truth is that hope has gone down the drain with the opening of the adult homeless male shelter at 233 Fordham Landing that will be occupied in November 2017. So my question to you is, why are you placing the resolution of solving the homeless epidemic on the Bronx? Because according to data, Bronx has 87 shelters, 215 clusters, and 6 hotels. Manhattan has 80 shelters, 13 clusters and 16 hotels. Brooklyn has 93 shelters, 48 clusters, and 22 hotels. Queens has 26 shelters, 0 clusters, and 40 hotels. Staten Island just has 1 shelter. So my question to you is, how will you invite Bronx professionals to move to the Bronx if the demand to move to the borough doesn't increase because of the bombardment of shelters?
Thank you. Thank you for your question, and now I will debate with you. I thank you for investing in the Bronx and believing in the Bronx, and I believe your investment has proven to be smart because by every measure, the Bronx has gotten stronger and stronger. Employment increasing, crime going down, property values going up. There's no question, council member I believe will back me up, that that particularly, if you look over the course of 10, 20 years, the Bronx has continued to get stronger and stronger. I believe it's going to continue on that trajectory. I disagree with your statement that the opening of a single shelter is going to, as you said, destroy all that. I just don't agree with that. I do agree with your underlying premise that there needs to be equity between communities and boroughs. The plan that I put out earlier in the year says that we will, over the next few years, we're going to close all of the cluster sites, which the Bronx has had the most of. These are these private buildings with scattered apartments in them. We've already closed 5 in this council district. We're going to close all of them citywide, but that's going to first and foremost benefit the Bronx. We're going to be getting out of the hotels where we pay by the day for hotels. That's also part of the plan. There's a plan that plays out over the next 5 years or more, but that kind of timeline. But what the ultimate goal of the plan is that literally down to the level of a community board, you would have the capacity to shelter the number of people who come from your own community and end up in shelter. You may have remembered there was a controversy in Maspeth, Queens. Well, we wanted a shelter there. We were going to put one in. The property owner got cold feet. Now we're going to find another location. Why? There's 250 people from that community board in Queens who are in our shelter system right now. But they're not in their own neighborhood because there's no shelter in their neighborhood. They will get a shelter in that neighborhood. We want the whole system to be equalized by where people come from. Why? One, that's fair on its face, but second, because we want people to get back on their feet and get out of shelter. If you're near your family, your church, your school for your children, there's much greater chance that you can get back on your feet and move forward. We also have changed the approach to shelter itself. Until just the last few years, shelter security was not run by the NYPD. Now it is run by the NYPD. Neighborhood policing did not exist within the NYPD. Now, with the neighborhood policing approach, the officers take responsibility for the area outside the shelter as well. So I'm not saying I'm failing to understand why anyone is concerned about a shelter. I do understand that, obviously. I am saying we're building a new approach that we believe is going to be much more equitable geographically, but also in terms of safety and order, which I think are the central concerns around shelter. A big, big difference in the equation, now we're seeing it citywide, is having the NYPD in a much more active role to ensure the safety of the community. So we'll work with you, we'll work with the council member as this is implemented to address any quality of life issues. But I'll tell you, I've seen it time and again, when a shelter is run properly, it does not have a negative impact on the quality of life in the community, and that's our job to make sure that's the case.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dr. Bola?
Pull up the page about that shelter.
Oh. Well, thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, thank you for coming to the Bronx and to this district. My question centered around Jerome Avenue study, especially the economic development piece of it. I understand that you have a $1 billion infrastructure development money. And with this huge initiative, which is the first of its kind in our district, we want to be a participant, not just a tenant, especially with CBOs and various interested parties in the district. So my question to you is, out of this infrastructure money, how much are you likely to invest in this district to improve on jobs, schools, and parks, and on, please?
So I appreciate the question. So you're talking about the rezoning proposal?
Yes, sir.
So what we do when there's a rezoning, I want to explain it to everyone because I think there's been always some confusion about this, is we say, okay, what does a community need? Right? The council member is in a position during a rezoning to put a series of community needs on the table and have a particularly strong likelihood of getting them achieved. We did one over a year ago in East New York, Brooklyn. And the council member came in with a list of things that he was concerned about, including things that people had wanted acted on for literally years or even decades. And this was the time when the city of New York was entirely focused on that community to get those major new investments done. So I can't name a specific dollar figure because it's really going to be derived from what the council member brings forward and what he hears from the community. Some communities have said they want more park space. Some communities have said they are most concerned about job creation for people in the community. Some communities are most concerned about new school capacity. Every community is different. Some have wanted recreation space, recreation centers. So that's what this process that has just begun is all about, to determine what that wish list is, and to recognize it's a moment where a lot of that can happen very quickly in a way that honestly would not other times. So we put that infrastructure fund together. You're right, we started with $1 billion for any communities that we will be doing rezonings in. And in each case, we tailor-make a plan. I want to give you an example. There's been real concern about school capacity already. So PS 33 had an overcrowding issue. Anyone here associated with PS 33? Yes? Okay. So this is something we've been working on already, but it's the kind of thing that we can do a lot more of in a rezoning. So in the case of PS 33, they needed more space, and I want to announce tonight that we are beginning this year to design a new annex for PS 33. It will have 388 new seats in it. That is something that has been happening over years and finally is coming to fruition. In a rezoning, you have a chance to do a lot of things simultaneously. And that's the power of it. I care about rezonings for number one reason, which is I want more affordable housing. I want to see a lot of housing preserved, meaning we will subsidize a lot of existing housing for families in the community. I want to see new housing built that's affordable. But I also recognize it's a great opportunity to address these long-standing things. And we're talking in many cases communities that didn't get a lot of investment from City Hall that now will have that focused moment of investment. So that's how the process will work, but no one will be more central to that process than your councilman. Thank you.
And also I want to mention that I'm not only involved in the process, as you know, Dr. Bola, who's the chair, community number 5, that is also council member Vanessa Gibson. It's a very extensive area, so we're both working on that project. And so any questions from this side? The gentleman back over there. Yes. Trying to spread the good.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Fernando, how are you?
See you.
This woman here brought up the thing about the shelters, and my question is, the city is spending an awful lot of money with shelters.
Yeah.
Who's actually, or should I say, who's not, supervising what's supposed to be done at these shelters? They have contracts with the city. They're not providing the services that they're supposed to do. They know when they're going to be inspected because the city lets them know ahead of time, so they know what to prepare before getting there. You have people living and staying in shelters for 2 years and better, and the city's absorbing this cost. These people can live in homes a hell of a lot cheaper than they can living in the shelter. So you're talking about closing them, and I appreciate that. It's nice that you're doing that. But a lot of these people could be moved out, get other people in, and get them out, because it's a trickle-down effect. You talk about the police department, you talk about all these different issues or whatever. When people are homeless, we have over 88,000 homeless people in the city, and that's really underestimating, because a lot of people are couch surfing and doing different things, and that's still being homeless.
Well, let me tell you, I understand your first point. I want to note that I want to be real exact about the number of people in shelters, about 58,000 now who are in our shelters. Now, I agree with you, if someone's couch surfing or they're doubled up, some cases tripled up, that's a problem, to say the least. But I also have to be really clear, this is a city that now is the biggest it's ever been, literally the biggest population we've ever had. This wonderful experience we're having with more safety and a strong economy and all, of course, has made a lot of people come here. And so some people come here and understand that they're going to be doubled up or tripled up, or some people are making, that choice because it's worth it to them to be here. The folks who are in shelter, at 58,000 people, that number is way too high. It's 58,000 people compared to 8.55 million overall population, but it's still way too high. I think you're right if you say, are some shelters run better than others? Absolutely. There's no two ways about it. Honestly, got to tell you, there's a lot of organizations that would probably be amazingly good at running shelters, but they don't want to do it because it's very tough. I'm saying there are some that are outstanding, there are some we wish were better, but we don't have a surplus of organizations willing to do it, is the truth. But what has changed is we've changed the city agency, this, HRA and homeless services. We've changed our approach. I think we professionalized it in many ways. We've changed by bringing the NYPD directly into the supervision and training of all the shelter security. And we have changed the approach to providing help to get people out of shelter. I agree with you. The notion of someone being in a shelter multiple years is crazy to me. We've gotten tens of thousands of people out of shelter, but so many more have kept coming in. That's the challenge. What I'm hoping for, this is what our plan tries to achieve, is as we continue to build affordable housing, that we start to get ahead of this bigger problem. Right now we're in the middle of an affordable housing plan that will build or subsidize enough affordable housing for 500,000 people. 500,000 people. I think that's going to help us start to turn the tide and build up the momentum we need to start reducing the shelter population. But we do take very seriously how shelters are run, and bluntly, if we find an operator is not good enough, we will cancel their contract. But I am honest with you too, there's not enough organizations willing to do that work. So we're always a little stressed because it's not like we can easily find a replacement in many cases, but we're trying.
Okay, let's go over here, right over here.
Hi, Blasio.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming to the Bronx.
You're everywhere.
I am everywhere. I know everyone too. And thank you, Councilman Cabrera, for hosting this and inviting the mayor. So I just want to state publicly that we are part of the Cure Violence movement, and we are ever so grateful for Councilmember Cabrera and Councilmember Jumaane Williams' efforts with the anti-gun violence to start the whole process years ago. And we are very excited about your commitment. And I always say you got to follow the money. And so this year, when you committed $22 million to all the sites around the city, I said, okay, he's giving money where the money got to go, and I have to say thank you for that. Okay, thank you, Mayor de Blasio, for that. And thank you, Councilman Cabrera, for beginning this with Jumaane Williams, because it is important. So this is my question, because I do have a question for you. I kind of look at the young people that we deal with, and we've been dealing in Bronx Connect with kids in Rikers for 20 years, right? And in Rikers, there's an average reading level of fourth grade. And sometimes that's good. I've had family court kids who read at a second grade level without an IEP. No IEP. To me, that's some sort of neglect, negligence. Okay. My question is, have you ever contemplated looking at the zip codes that feed into the crime and doing intensive education there, almost like, giving back, like the communities that have been ignored? Can we intensively educate so that in 10 years, we don't need cure violence?
Yep, I appreciate that. Well, first of all, thank you and everyone at Bronx Connect. I believe in this model very deeply. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Cure Violence model is community people, particularly young people, including some who had involvement in the criminal justice system but were redeemed, found their way to a better place, now helping other young people to not get involved with the criminal justice system or to move away from violence. It's an incredible movement that's had a huge positive impact. That's why we're supporting it. Our police are working more and more closely with the Cure Violence movement and the emergency management system. So I want to thank you and everyone involved because it's making a big difference. On the question, I believe you have summarized our educational strategy on one level, because our plan is called Equity and Excellence. And if you look at what it does, whether it's pre-K or 3K, which is the new initiative, or the AP for all, or all these things we're doing, they have, all of them, an equalizing effect of moving a lot of resources to the districts that did not get the kind of investment they deserved in the past. So implicitly, it's achieving a lot of what you are talking about. I believe the research shows this. If you give kids early childhood education when they're 3 and 4, their chance of ending up involved in the criminal justice system goes way down. Way down. So that is, and this, by making it universal, it means neighborhoods that were underinvested in the past actually benefit a lot more. So that's where we're trying to go. We believe these heavy investments in education will show up years later with many fewer lives being involved in the criminal justice system, and that's good humanly first and foremost, but it's also going to save our society a lot of money too, for the good of all. Thank you.
Okay, right over there. Yes.
Good evening. First, I would like to extend my deepest condolences to the 4-6. What you guys do every day, men and women in blue, I can't even imagine. God bless you guys. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here. I have been a child care provider in this community for 11 years. I recently opened up an after-school program. My after-school program is 1 block away from this school. I service this school along from my communities. 3 years ago, we started an intense reading and writing program before the testing began. So as of January, my staff and I, we train those kids. We give them as much help as they can. For 3 years in a row, we have not had one of my children gotten left back within my program. I don't know if any of my parents are here today, but they will vow that none of my kids have gotten summer school or left back.
Okay. Tell me what you're thinking here. What's your question?
My question is this. As the administration changes, every year the providers are getting left behind. The UFT does not help us. Now there's UPK for 4, UPK for 3. We get them in diapers and in pacifiers, and we pass them along to the school system. We provide an outstanding job within our community.
So help me, what's your question? What's the concern?
My question is, because they're taking away our 3-year-olds and our 4-year-olds, a lot of our providers are staying with no children to care for.
I got you.
And we have there's a lot of us that we're not in violation, we pay our taxes,
okay,
workers' comp, we do it all.
So here's what I'll say to you.
So how can we work together with the city
to
take advantages of those programs that you offer?
I got you. So I appreciate very much what you do, and I think it makes a big difference. And we believe, especially now with the 3-year-old level opening up, that we are going to need a lot more partners to achieve it. Think about the 3-year-olds. Most places, we can't accommodate them in a public school building,
correct,
right? So we need community-based partners. Pre-K,
how are we
so we're going to have someone follow up with you tonight, because pre-K took a lot of community partnership to begin with. The 3K program is going to take even more. So we will have our folks who are developing that program at the DOE speak directly to you. I'll have you talk to Josh Wallach, who's the Deputy Chancellor.
Is he here?
He's not here, but the man behind you will connect you to him. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go right over here.
Wait, you're going to get a microphone. But it helps. Everyone wants
but
to
everybody
hear you.
else does. And let me remind everyone to please ask the question. That way we can get more people. There's a lot of people with a lot of questions. Thank you.
Good evening. My question is in reference to affordable housing. What is your solution to providing affordable housing for the 2 most underserved, the young working professional and the retired senior?
Okay. That was the most powerful question in the fewest words. Well done. Well done.
I like that. I like that.
Okay. Our affordable housing program is online. Everyone can see exactly how it works. And in fact, you hit the nail on the head, because we believe there are a lot of young folks coming up who we want to stay in the city. I mean, obviously, for a lot of people, their family, they don't want to see their young people have to move away because they can't afford it. We are trying, therefore, to have an affordable housing plan that works for people of different income needs. So for example, you could be a young professional starting out. You might be making $40,000 or $50,000 or $60,000. There are still opportunities in our affordable housing program for people in those income ranges. Now, the competition is intense. Let's be real. The plan is for 500,000 people. I want everyone to let that sink in, 500,000 people. The amount of affordable housing we're creating and preserving is the same as the number of people who live in Miami, Florida, altogether. It's like we're dropping in enough affordable housing to cover every single person in Miami. That's what we're in the middle of doing. It's still not going to be enough because of the cost of housing, but that's what we can achieve. We're being honest with people. If we could do more, we will, but right now that's what we know we can do. So there will always be the lotteries and all that, there'll be competition, but I meet people who actually do get through those lotteries and get apartments, and more people will as more and more units come online. So that's for young professionals. For the seniors, we actually moved more money. We put $2 billion more in this last budget, and thank you, council member, for your support. $2 billion more to support 10,000 more apartments for seniors, particularly seniors on lower incomes or fixed incomes. So you're going to see more of the subsidies and more of the new construction of affordable housing going to seniors. That still is not enough either. It's what we can do right now, but it's not enough. I will say two other points. One, we are putting a lot of money into stopping evictions, which is another part of the puzzle, particularly for seniors. And I want everyone to understand this. Because of the agreement with the city council this year, this is news a lot of people don't know, anyone who faces eviction in New York City and makes up to $50,000. So in other words, you make $50,000 or less and you're threatened with eviction, the city will give you a lawyer for free to defend your interests. And as we have provided free lawyers, thousands and thousands of evictions have been stopped. And again, particularly seniors have benefited. The other thing I want to say is, right now in Washington, and I am very concerned about the things I see happening in Washington. One of the biggest fears we had was around the support for affordable housing through HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The actions happening this week on the HUD budget actually are a lot better than we feared, because everything that's happening with the Republicans in Congress is kind of coming unglued, and this may be a good ungluing. And so today, we are not seeing the kind of dangerous cuts to HUD that we feared, and that's going to help us keep providing affordable housing. So knock on wood, pray that we can keep that money for the people of this city. Thank you.
I'll be praying too. You can count on that prayer.
Yeah, you have special influence.
Right over here.
Your Honor, how are you? It's good seeing you again. First and foremost, I would like to give an acknowledgement, and I have to do this at all the meetings I be with you, to the NYPD, Chief Nakuin, the Chief of Detectives right there, Wilcox, and my inspector, Farillo. They do a great job. But that cannot stand without the help of our very own DA, Darcel Clark. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm here to speak to you about a very serious issue within our community, and that is the Kingsbridge Armory deal. The Kingsbridge Armory deal is right now over, let's say, $250 million, whatever, okay? But we did a little study going on right now, and the study is that you already see, they don't have the money. They only have $38 million. That's it. They're back in construction. You know, I work in, you know, I don't want to do figures here.
Okay,
but
get to the point, though.
Yeah, the point is, they don't have the money. I know it for a fact they don't have.
You mean the team that wants to develop it?
Koenig doesn't have the money. The $108 million promissory that's made by the governor.
So what are you saying?
All I'm saying is that please don't make that deal with Koenig. We'll be 20 years stuck behind with nothing built in the Kingsbridge Armory.
Okay, I'm going to respectfully disagree, even though I do appreciate the concern. And you know the city of New York has raised some real concerns, too, about the viability of the project. But we do believe those concerns have been addressed. We are waiting on the state of New York through the Economic Development, the Empire State Development Corporation to act, and then we're ready to move forward with the project. But we are going to be very strong in making sure that the private partners do what they commit to do. We want to see that get done. We believe it can get done. So I want to say, I think we're at a point where we believe it can happen. We're going to be all over monitoring it. If anything goes wrong, we will intervene quickly. But I don't share your assumption. I think this project can work, and we really would like to see it get done.
Okay, right. The gentleman with the nice tie and suit. Yes. He shocked himself.
You say that, everyone's going to stand up.
Hi, how are you? My name is Cristian Ramos from Kingsbridge Merchant Association. I'm in the neighborhood for 13 years to Mayor. And we are more than 200 businesses in this area, in this corridor from Kingsbridge Road. That's the guy that you say that you agree with this big armory as an eye center turned to. But my question is, as a business owner, and be in this area for longest, you just say you're going to support legal free for the housing. We would like to ask on this, and going directly with this, is how will this administration support small, by the way, we are not business owner anymore. You signed the code, we are commercial tenants, and thank you to do that too. And how are you going to help us to don't be erased, don't be pushing out from the landlords? Because the landlords in this area, particular owner around the Kingsbridge Road, they try to push everybody out.
Okay, I got you. Is Greg here? He's already in motion. Good. Hey, we have matching ties. I'm impressed.
I don't know how that happened. I don't know.
We called each other to say, what are we wearing today? I'm going to start, and then our Small Business Services Commissioner, Greg Bishop, will pick up. Look, I think the simplest way to say this is we want to protect small business in a lot of ways. One of the ways I'm particularly fond of is taking burdens off of small business. That's why we reduced the number of fines by 40%, and so that puts money back in the pockets of small business. Compared to the previous administration that kept increasing the fines, we have reduced them greatly. But we're also trying to provide legal support for small businesses that may be facing harassment from a landlord. So Greg's going to talk about that.
So great question. And at the Department of Small Business Services, we are here to help small businesses, especially independent mom and pops. We have expanded our legal services. So actually last year, the council working with the administration passed a tenant harassment bill. So for the first time ever, there is a law that prevents landlords from harassing tenants, for example, doing unnecessary repairs, et cetera. You have certain rights that are now law, and we have legal services that we are able to help you get to the point of actually, defending your rights against that landlord. We also provide legal services to help you understand your rights in your lease to make sure. And I know I'm very familiar with the merchants on Kingsbridge and certain merchants I know do not have leases, so we are working with you to try to figure out what can happen in terms of providing support through our services. But for those with leases, we can certainly help you.
When are we going to start? When we kind of start to doing this?
This service is available right now, so I'll talk to you after, and then we can speak.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilman Cabrera.
Okay, so let's go right over here. One of the parents.
I'm Iverka Valeria. I'm the proud, parent coordinator. The parent coordinator to Creston Academy.
Excellent. Thank you.
So much, sir. I don't live around here, but I've been working in this community for 12 years. And my concern is the young people. They have nowhere to go, Mayor. We do have Good Shepherd services that provide after-school programming in our schools and other schools, but not enough, Mayor. We have no community centers. We have one beacon by Fordham section, but our young people are just standing out here doing nothing. And my concern, and I'm hearing the shouts and I'm hearing the senior citizen, but I feel for the young people. They have nowhere to go. We've been fighting for funds here, but I'm thinking about the other middle, and I'm not downsizing the elementary, but the middle school kids. There's always grants and RFPs for elementary, but for the middle school, there's none.
Okay.
And that's the foundation. And my question is, what is the city doing to provide sustainable programs and more programs for
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you for the work you do as a parent coordinator, which parents really, really rely on. Let's thank her for the good work she does. They like you. You're doing good. So, my kids are now, my daughter Kiara is 22, my son Dante is 19. So I refer to myself as a recovering middle school parent, okay? Anyone who has middle school kids in their life knows that that is a very tough time, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. it's a time of transition, shall we say. And so actually, when I came into office, we talked a lot, and Chancellor Farini has been very focused on this. What can we do specifically for middle school? Because it's sort of been the forgotten time. So most people don't know that we now have a guarantee of after school during the school year, a guarantee of after school for every single middle school child in New York City. I want to test this room of active people. How many people in this room knew already that we had a guaranteed seat for after school for every middle school kid in the city? If you know that, raise your hand. Okay. So listen, it's not always in the same school, I want to be clear, but it's guaranteed in the community, and it's free. And it's amazing that a lot of people are not signing their kids up for it because they don't know. Excuse me, I'm not talking about you, ma'am. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the city of New York, 8.5 million people. We have doubled the number of kids in after school since 3 years ago. It's now about 120,000 kids at the middle school level. But we've got many more seats we could give them, and we will pay for any kid who does one of those middle school seats. So that's a beginning. What you said is absolutely true. We need to go much farther. I don't have the money yet, but I'll be looking for it. I'd like a lot more community centers. I'd like weekend activities, all sorts of things. With summer, we have particularly focused on public housing, and we have created summer recreation programs in a lot of public housing, including, like midnight basketball and things like that to go well into the evening. But during the school year, the number one initiative has been a guaranteed after-school seat for a middle school kid. And anyone here who would like that for their child starting in September, there are people here tonight who can sign you up. So please take advantage of that.
Okay, Chair, Community Board 7.
Hey.
Hi.
How you been?
Fine. We've had a rough time, as you've been
Let's get closer.
We've had a rough time, as we've been sharing, and our hearts go out to the police department, the 46th precinct, and the 52nd. We're all mourning what happened in our community, and I thank Honorable Councilman Cabrera and you for being here today.
Thank you.
It's a healing we're going to go through.
Yeah.
I want to also acknowledge you for the fact that, for a few things. Number one, that you just stood up and said, I'm supporting KNIC, the Kingsbridge National Eye Center, because that's going to bring programs for our youth, an incubator for business for all of our young adults to get empowered to have the best jobs ever in the city of New York to compete. And we're going to have a space where children can learn a new sport and get healthy. But my biggest problem right now is I have a building in the Bronx called the Old Fordham Library. It's been there for, when I was a child, going there from Roosevelt High School to study. Right now it's Department of Health shredding place. And Cabrera and I have been fighting for this for many, many years. That's a perfect place to answer that lady's question. We need a community center there for all children, all ages, because my question is, I know in Manhattan, if you have a preschooler, you can drop them off at a 24-hour site so they can learn technology and stuff if you have an emergency.
Wait, I'm not sure I know what that is.
I know.
I've not heard that one before.
But I'm just saying that site can be a high-tech place. The rooftop can be a garden. We could do fundraising for our city. We have talked about what that could be, and we have gone there and discussed it. So we need to look at the Old Fordham Library.
Thank you. And council member, I'm not familiar with it, so I want you to tell what you think.
That site now is in Councilmember Richie Torres, so I want to respect his territory. But when we had negotiation in the Bloomer administrations, part of the negotiation was to turn that into a youth center. That was
I don't know of anyone here. I'm looking across the many agencies. Is anyone familiar with if we have a plan for the Old Fordham Library yet? Okay, that was obviously we didn't prepare for that because it's not your district, but we will follow up for sure with you. And I'll ask folks from city planning to follow up with you on that.
Okay, this side, we haven't had this side. Over here, Vilma.
Thank you. I'm here to represent the Fordham Road business community. My name is Wilma Alonso. I'm the Executive Director of the Fordham Road BID. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Council Member. You always support us. We have a a big concern on Fordham Road. We have a huge increment of homeless people, tricamontes, illegal vendors, and we work together with the precincts. We are a very tough site. We have 3 precincts, 3 community boards, so it's tough. And don't get me wrong, we get the responses with the community board, with the precincts, with everybody, with all the city agencies involved. But we feel that we need additional resources. We don't want to put more burden on the precincts. They do enforcement, but the priority is to fight crimes. So what can we do? We suggested a task force to be
to fight the most serious crime first, but they've been doing that really, really well, and that is freeing up time to address other concerns. I told you that number for the 4-6 just in the last 14, 15 months, how much they've driven down crime 13% in that limited period of time. They are therefore achieving things that allow them to focus on other problems too. So that's one part of the equation. I don't think you should ever feel any hesitation to ask the precinct to help on those matters. But when we see a particular problem in a neighborhood, we try and figure out what the pieces of the solution are. The illegal vending, we're trying, with the city council, change the whole policy on illegal vending because it's obviously broken right now. We're trying to figure out one that would be more rational and come with, at the same time, a lot more enforcement. In terms of homelessness, the Homestead Initiative sends homeless services workers out, and we want people to call the second they see someone homeless loitering around, and we will send out a worker to try and convince that person to get off the street. We've had that initiative for a little over a year. We have 700 people so far who were living on the streets and now have come in and have stayed in shelter, which is a step forward. So they're not living on the streets anymore. We're trying to get them, obviously, ultimately to some kind of permanent setting. So those direct contact things, I think, are what work. But tell me where, you said Fordham, and where in particular is like the most problematic area for you? Okay, so which precinct has the heart of that? Okay, so you're talking about a big stretch, but do you have a really focused area that you're most concerned about? Okay. But again, I've looked at the numbers and I know it's a fairly small number of people today. Is there a particular site you're concerned about in terms of homeless folks congregating? Give me one example. Okay, so who's got that? Not here, okay. We'll have Chief, will you follow up on that? So Chief will get together with you afterwards to follow up on that. Thank you.
Okay, great. The gentleman right over here. Yes, he looks shocked.
How you doing? This for I'll get a mayor break. This for Cabrera, really.
Good. Give Cabrera a thumb. That's good.
I work for Bragg, Bronx Risers Against Gun Violence. Based off what this lady said, like, we the ones in the community, we throw block parties, like, we help kids with everything, substance abuse, violence, we give them things to do, and that's the problem right now as far as with the Parks Department. Like, I've been trying to throw a basketball tournament this year, and I wrote to them, and they told me I need the precinct to co-sign it, so the precinct co-signed it. Now they saying the precinct has to be there, and we stuck in the middle. Like, there's nowhere to go from this, so I need clarity on how we can make this happen so the kids can have something to do this summer instead of standing on the corners doing nothing.
Where are you trying to do that? Where are you trying to do that?
In Aqueduct Park, where I grew up at.
Aqueduct, okay, so which command has Aqueduct? Huh?
It depends where.
Someone has to claim it, come on.
What? What's the cross street?
I was trying to get the
Where are the courts?
182nd and Aqueduct.
187 Aqueduct. Come on over and let's get the Parks Commissioner. Go ahead. Go mediate. Go over. You're good where you are. You can stay where you are. It's not like a game show. Stay where you are. Okay, Mitch, go over there. Come on over here. Go and talk to him about what you can do about this. I'll watch. Go ahead.
Well, let me go first.
That's the Parks Commissioner. Go ahead.
As you know, we realize that how parks are outdoor living rooms where people get to connect. So the commissioner for the Bronx Parks, Iris Rodriguez-Rosa, right here. I want you to work closely with her so we can make sure we can work with you and get this program up and running. All right?
All right, and the precinct, you said there was a concern with the precinct on this, so can the precinct work with the Parks Department too, sir?
Oh, no, we definitely will work with the Parks Department. Whenever there's an event, we do provide coverage, so there's no issue with that as far as the police department is concerned. So once you get the clearance from the Parks Department, we'll be there for your enforcement and safety needs.
All right, we're making progress.
And Mr. Mayor, let me brag about the BRAG program.
There you go.
They're simply amazing. They're alongside with the rest of the Cure Violence program like Bronx Connect. We are doing something thanks to the funding that you have provided alongside with the City Council that is nowhere to be found in the rest of the United States. In 183rd Street, there was not a summer. These are the brave young men, the credible messenger. Come on, give it up for them. These men are brave, they're courageous, they are there every single night. And there was not a summer that in 183rd Street where we didn't have a show of gun violence. And this last summer was the very last summer. And not only the summer, they went for a whole fiscal year where we didn't have not one incident of gun violence. They deserve a big round of applause.
All right.
They're amazing.
So now you're gonna make sure, since we have Parks Department, Police Department make those pledges, you're gonna make sure it happens.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I got your backing now.
There
Come
you
on.
go.
Great, great. So let's go right here in the front. Right here in the front. Don't worry, we're gonna get to a lot of people tonight.
Good evening. My name is Eddie Ramos. I'm a Local 3 member. I'm a CB7 member, and I also work with the Northwest Bronx Clergy Coalition. Mayor, with all the housing construction, apartment repairs being done in the city with city and state money, is there an attempt being made to ensure local contractors, safe contractors, and local residents are being used to help build our community? Because it'll also build up our economy. You know, I prefer to be union jobs. They don't have to be union jobs, but at least they be a living wage. Because I'm tired of seeing people come from out of state to build stuff in the Bronx as I walk to go to work.
So the goal, what we're trying to do more and more, is to see not only in construction, but in the jobs that are created after, the permanent jobs, that there be local hiring. I'm very much a believer. I want to be honest with you, I don't have the legal ability to mandate it. I wish I did. This is one of the things that drives me crazy. I think we should have the legal right to say, if we're putting in taxpayer money, that we could mandate that people are hired from the local community. That is not how the laws of this state work. But we can make very, very clear to the different folks from the private sector that that's what we want to see happen, and that often has had a very big impact. I mentioned East New York. We had the developers who came in during the rezoning process understood very clearly if they wanted to be a part of it, we wanted local hiring. I would also like to see the maximum amount of union construction. There's an ongoing discussion with the trades, and I've had some very good conversations with Chris Erickson and with Gary LaBarbera about how we can start to do more and more on the union side, but it's going to take some creative work on the rates and one thing or another. So my honest answer to you is we're willing, we're seeing some progress. I don't have all the tools I'd like to have. I'd like to be able to mandate it, but we're going to try. I think the rate we're going now, we're going to see more and more local hiring being the reality. Thank you.
Great. Right over here, the lady with the best looking hat in the house.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Thompson. I'm from Kingsbridge Heights Neighborhood Association. Fort Poor Park.
Which one?
Fort Poor Park by Cedric Avenue and Reservoir. Our park is very little, very poor. We have no bathroom. Been trying to get a bathroom there for half a century.
Wow.
Half a century. I believe you'll allocate $250,000. They say it's not enough to put a bathroom in there.
Yep.
Our children's been going to the stores. So our resident and the church, Lady of Our Angel, we need help in that. And I'm going to say more, but it's going to take a long. I want to find out about the armory, various different
But on
things.
the park, so let me address the park, because we're going to do one per person. So let me, where's our park commissioner
Right
from the Bronx? I know you. I'm saying, where's your Bronx colleague to join you? I think I remember you since 5 minutes ago. This one I'm not familiar with, but this has been a real issue all over the city of parks that have not had bathrooms, and people have been wanting for a long time. So where are we? I know we don't have it done yet, but where are we in the process of seeing if we can get this done for this park?
This particular park, and the council member as well, has expressed a desire to move it forward. Because of the rock condition, it is going to be very, very expensive to put a comfort station at that location, so the cost is going to be a lot higher. This project is not fully funded and is going to be higher than normal. Our comfort stations now are exceeding $2 million. This one could even be higher because of the runs that have to be connected to it, as well as the condition. So if this continues to be a priority, we'll have to wait to get all the funds in order to put that comfort station in place. But the council member has been very articulate in saying that a comfort station is needed at this location.
So let me just test the numbers here. Council, so what's your, let's be blunt with people. What do we think the real number is going to be at this rate?
Right now, what it's estimated, it's $3.6 million to be able to construct.
First of all, I just want to say, if you're thinking that's crazy, that's what I'm thinking too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is this thing. But it's not just your park. It's all over the city. I don't know. I love you guys. I don't know what gold plating you're putting into your bathroom. But no, this is the problem. These things are incredibly expensive. I can't figure out why. How much money do we have toward it already?
We have, how many we have in the pot right now? I know I allocated some funding this year towards it, and we just short a bit. We're not short that far, Mr. Mayor.
So what have you allocated?
I allocated about
$2 million?
$2 million, and so we're looking. How much are we short at this point?
1.6.
$1.6 million.
Okay, so you've got $2 million.
Yes.
You need $1.6 million.
Yes.
To do a comfort station.
Yes.
Is this a actively used park? Yes.
Very much. Very much.
I will find you the additional $1.6 million to get your comfort station.
Wait. I got to give you a high five. Come on, that's how we do it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really appreciate that.
Only because she has a really cool hat on.
That's what I was talking about.
I like coming to these town halls too.
Right over here. Thank you. Wow. Good news. Solutions.
Mr. Mayor, welcome to the Bronx. Welcome to Community Board 5. I want to thank the 4-6. My question to you, Mr. Mayor, is the seriousness of your commitment to including CBOs in your affordable housing as well as economic development plan. The concern that I have is with Mount Hope Housing Company. Since the last administration, we've been providing affordable housing in the Community District 5 for 36 years. Very successful at it. We use our profit margin to build community development facilities. One facility we put online was a community center where we leveraged New Market Tax Credit, the first of its kind in the city. We got sort of into trouble when the financial crisis hit. We've been communicating with your agencies on a number of items and a number of avenues to actually better the situation. But it seems that your plan and the agency's plan is for us to give up our equity, to bring in a for-profit partner to partner up with us. Now, we've been the stewards of these properties for 36 years, and we've held on to the properties. They've been an economic base.
Okay, gotta get to the punchline. I need a question now or something.
Right. So my question is, what is your plan to work with troubled CBOs? We navigated the financial crisis.
Okay, I got you. Come on, we want to get around to as many people. Okay, the general approach, if you're talking about affordable housing and economic development, we very much believe in working with CBOs. Look across the affordable housing plan and a lot of our economic development efforts, including, as I mentioned, a lot of our education efforts run through CBOs. Now, I don't know enough about the history of your organization, and if there's been specific challenges in the past, I want to be careful not to commit to something I just don't know the circumstances around. But who have you been talking to in our administration? Just simple answer. I need to get to many people. Just who have you been talking to in our administration?
Which administration do you want? We've worked with your Office of Management and Budget. They've held us accountable for building the community. It's a $16 million community center.
Okay, again, not too much detail. I'm just asking, are you in touch with senior people in our administration?
We're in touch. We work closely with your HPD department.
Okay.
They've been sort of working with us.
Okay, so then let me have, I want HPD to follow up, and I don't know who's here from. There you are.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie Hendrickson. Hi, Fritz. How are you? Again, why don't we take this offline? You know I have been working with Mount Hope organization for many years, and we are working to preserve all of your housing, over 1,300 units, and trying to work with you on the community center as well.
So you're going to follow
up on that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, great. The gentleman all the way in the back. I want to catch people in the back, too. We're trying to move quickly. Trust me. Yes, the gentleman all the way in the back with their hat.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Mayor, I ran a homeless shelter for about 8 years. It is not a great sight. What I want to say to you is this. This is way before your administration, Mr. Mayor, way before your administration. They've been buying these subway cars for like 50-something years now. Here's the article, Wall Street Journal. 50-something years. Now, Mayor, if you go to Google and type in, what do New York City, MTA, and New York State do with those subway cars when they've run their useful life? They dump them in the ocean. I'm going to say it again. Go to Google, everybody.
They still do that?
Type in, what do New York City, New York State, and the MTA
Okay, just in the interest of time, so what's the point you're trying to raise?
Here we go. You mean to tell me, Mr. Mayor, if it's good for the fish ecosystem, it's not good for the human ecosystem?
So what would you do differently? Wait, come on.
Here's what I would do. I'm suggesting to you, stop that policy, bring those cars on land, make them sustainable. If the public can sit in for 1 to 4 to 6 hours on those trains, why can't people live in them for 24 hours? Not only that, Mr. Mayor, it'll be cost effective and people can buy them.
You got your question in. You got your question in.
My answer. Thank you. Your facts are right. I just checked. We have a member of the MTA board, Polly Tronberg. She says you are absolutely correct that they use them. I find it a little strange, but they use them to create reefs out in the. Okay, that's cool. Now, but wait. Listen. The bottom line, we're not having a debate. I'm responding to you. I would argue simply, not only is that the state of New York that runs the MTA, so they're their subway cars, they're not our subway cars, but the way we're going to create affordable housing is not through something like that. We're going to create big buildings for lots of apartments for lots of people. So I understand the impulse that it feels kind of wasteful what they're doing now. I appreciate that. But I don't think it helps us solve our problems to get. I'm just telling you my view. We're not doing it back and forth. I appreciate the point, but I don't think it helps us solve a problem.
Okay, right over here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming to the borough of the Bronx, and thank you, Councilmember Cabrera, for all that you've done for our community. Mr. Mayor, I just became a vegan. I cut meat. Yes.
All right.
It's a health issue.
Impressive.
And one of the things that I noticed is that there's really no healthier options when you walk around our communities. And with the amount of obesities that our children go through here in the Bronx, I want to know what the city is going to do to combat obesity and give us alternative healthy options.
Who's here for the health department? Health department? Okay, I want to remind all my colleagues, when you hear your topic come up, start moving toward me. Okay?
I guess I should move a lot faster so that I don't become obese, right?
That's right. All right. Deputy Commissioner's here from the Health Department. Congratulations on becoming a vegan. You look very trim and fit. You're doing good. And we are trying, as I pass the baton, I'll say we are trying to improve the healthiness and the appealing nature of the school food so kids will actually eat better food when they're in school. Because a lot of times we get them to school, but they don't want to eat what we're giving them. So we have to give it both healthy and something they want to eat. But in terms of larger community and making healthier food available, take it away.
Well, and as you can imagine, this is something that's very near and dear to our hearts, so to speak. So we're doing lots of things around hypertension, obesity, exercise, and you'll notice some of these things happening, perhaps even seeing quite a few of the things in the media around getting folks on bicycles and doing other things. So I'd be happy to talk to you about what more you'd like to see us do, what things you'd like us to pay attention to, but there's numerous activities that we can cite. And again, it's one of the things that's very important. It's particularly things, one of the more important initiatives that we just got through is our SALT initiative, right? Where now you're going to see SALT warnings on the foods that you eat, because it's something, particularly in our community, as an African-American man, I know how important it is for me to watch my calorie intake, watch my salt, watch my blood pressure. And so we want to make the right choice, the easy choice, particularly when it comes to foods and exercise.
And now our sanitation commissioner wants to speak to this too. Everyone likes this question. Go ahead.
So as you may know, the Department of Sanitation supports a lot of Grow NYC's programs. So they bring green markets to many neighborhoods, and we continue to expand that. They recently opened a very large facility in the Bronx. And so we are hoping to continue to do more community gardens with them, as well as make sure there are green markets available in your community.
And Timothy, I want to let you know, I turned vegan too. I'm with you. I want to live long. Okay, we're going to go right over here, I'm trying to hit all three areas.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Samantha. I'm the parent coordinator over at PSMS 279. And my question to you is that you're building schools, annexes, these buildings within the community, but what's being affected in the community is our parking. We've lost several teachers due to parking. Our schools keep increasing. Our buildings are being built, but parking has always been an issue. Yeah. What is your solution to the parking in the Bronx?
Yeah. So this is when we have the town hall meetings, my job is to try and be real with people, and sometimes I have a real solution, and sometimes I have a big solution, and sometimes I have a piece of solution, and sometimes we got a challenge that is not easy to solve, and this one's in that last category, but I want to be very straightforward about that. With the space we have, think about New York City for a second. Largest population we've ever had, it's growing. Think about all the things we've heard about tonight that people would like to see: more affordable housing, youth centers, you go down the list, they all take space. We are not in the mode of like, let's build a lot of parking garages or whatever it may be, just so you understand the mindset. We are trying to do more and more mass transit. We're trying to do everything we can, encourage people to, carpool, whatever it may be. We're not at this moment saying we're going to open up a lot more space for new parking. So I know you're right. I'm sure for some teachers that's a real burden and challenge. Right. So again, these are different points, but let me just give you the broad answer. And I think it's fair to say there are places, and the alternate side we work with the sanitation department on, and there's places where we can make adjustments that might help the situation. That's a perfectly fair point. But I'm saying the general question, are we going to be building a lot more new parking? No, that's not part of our plan, honestly. We're trying to get people to use our cars less every chance we get for the reasons of congestion and pollution. That's the reality we're facing. But in terms of the specific situation with both, which school again is it? Okay. So I'm asking, hold on, I want my subcommittee to come here. So alternate side, wait, that's going to be you. I'm sorry, Polly. I was saying Catherine. So Polly and Dorita, will you join me for a sec?
We'll bring up Navarro.
Hold on, we're just going to do a little subcommittee. Hold on. Okay, you got Transportation Commissioner. You've got the Deputy Chancellor. So I think this is an interesting point. If there is a school where the alternate side dynamics are problematic, and there's something we could do without throwing off the need to do the street cleaning, that could be helpful. tell us if you think you can do
Right,
something.
right. And I think, as the mayor said, look, parking is a challenge all over the city, and we unfortunately can't magically create a lot of new parking. But our Bronx Borough Commissioner here, we can sometimes go to individual schools, look at what kind of signage we have at the curbs, what the alternate side looks, and see if we can do something to help with the parking situation. So we will certainly come talk to you and come take a look.
Okay, but let's agree that what they'll do is between DOT and DOE, schools that have this particular problem, they're going to get together and see if they can create a little more flexibility. Okay?
Okay, right over here. Boy, this zone is hot.
Thank you.
Okay, right over here, right in front, the gentleman right in front.
Okay, good evening. I represent Fordham Hill Oval in the Bronx. My question to you, Mr. de Blasio, is how is the presence of a shelter actually going to help our existing taxpayers? And what I mean by taxpayers, I'm talking about areas in our neighborhood who actually are homeowners, especially those on Cedar Avenue, University, Father Sizer, Sedgwick, Bailey. And just so you happen to know, a lot of people are not too they're not too fond of the presence of a shelter based on the presence of homeless people that are actually around our neighborhood.
Okay.
So my question, how is that actually going to help taxpayers?
Well, again, we're about helping every neighborhood of this city and all the people of this city. And the point I made earlier about how we're trying to change the plan, I'm not going to give any ground on this. I want to be real. When someone is homeless in New York City today, more than ever before, it is for an economic reason. The cost of housing got too high, their wages were not good enough. More and more people in shelter right now are families who are working people, and they need help. It's our obligation to get them back on their feet. So it's not a debate club. You made your point. I'm going to give you my answer. So why it is helpful, your question, how is it helpful? It is helpful when we take care of people in need. Now, let me be clear about this shelter. I want to give you the facts about this shelter, which is slated to open in October. There are 200 beds in the shelter for single men who are employed or employable. So this is people who have been judged to be in either on a job right now or are part of the workforce and can be part of the workforce. And then the other piece of the project is 135 units of affordable housing, permanent affordable housing. So again, we have an obligation in every community to build affordable housing. We have an obligation in every community to take care of folks who have come upon hard times, who want to get back on their feet. And we're going to do that in every part of the city, and it's ultimately going to be in proportion to the population of that community board. It's not a back and forth. I've answered your question.
Okay, right over there, you had your hand for a long time.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening, everybody else as well. My name is Luna, and I work for Parent Action Committee, an organization down the block that works with parents in the community. And we very much appreciate that you have Spanish interpretation, French interpretation. Thank you very much. But a whole group of our parents who are from Ghana, from Nigeria, West Africa, wouldn't have been able to make it because they speak Soninke, Bambara, Fulani, whole plethora of languages. And that's just one of the examples of how our neighborhoods and especially our schools aren't culturally inclusive to our families. So we have developed with PAC, and I'll leave one for you in your offices, a manual to help schools and teachers interact with parents in a more engaging kind of way. So my question for you is, how is the New York City government going to support culturally responsive education in our schools, which isn't about what they learn, but how they learn?
Is it going to support, what was the key
Culturally
phrase?
responsive education. So education that's not just trying to diversify our schools, but support the culture of the students that are in the schools.
Well, look, I give you a simple answer. I think the whole ethic of our school system is to respect every culture and background and to focus more and more on dual language programs, at least for the most popular languages, and to engage parents, because we now have, we're going to be at about 215 community schools with a heavy emphasis on bringing parents in, so obviously we know we have to do that in multiple languages. I think more and more that is the governing ethic. I don't think we have a curriculum concept, honestly, we have that gets to the depth of what you're saying. We have an inclusive concept, but not perhaps that fullness. I'd be very happy for you to talk to the Deputy Chancellor about, I think it's an interesting idea, so will you follow up afterwards on that? But you've sparked a whole different thought I want to speak to. Let me see. Just want to see, any of you have one of your NCOs in the room? Is there an NCO in the room from any one of your precincts? Or a community affairs officer? Someone choose a... Oh, wait, who was I talking to before? That lady, come on over. Do you have your smartphone on you? You have your smartphone?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Do you have your smartphone?
I currently do not have my
Okay.
smartphone, Mr. Mayor.
Does one of your colleagues have their smartphone?
Yes.
Someone bring your smartphone over, one of our officers, because this is related to the point this lady raised. It's important. Aha, very good. What's your name, officer?
Detective Kimberly Ford.
Detective Ford, can you help us out on your smartphone? Do you have the language function?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you name one of the languages that are spoken in the West African communities? Which one? Well, I heard Yoruba. Let's start with Yoruba. Hold on. That's one of the big ones. Do you have Yoruba? When you go to the language, do you have Yoruba? She's going to get to the language thing. There's live action here. Translate. Someone speaks, it comes up on the screen in translated? Sometimes, not all the time. But I want people to know about this because it's cool, even though we're still working on it. Every officer now has one of these smartphones when they're on patrol, and you can bring up the language function for the different languages that are represented. We have, I think, 200 languages. And the person can speak into the officer's phone, and it gets translated into English for the officer to see. Isn't that cool? All right. Did you find it? Okay, we need to get Yoruba in there. All right, you're going to go check when you find Yoruba, come back and tell me. All right.
Okay, over here, gentleman with the hat.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Mayor.
Speak up a little, get closer.
My name is Jamal Vaughn. Thank you for coming. I want to say to everyone here, I've been hearing about rezoning, homeless shelters, and this and that. Being homeless don't make you a criminal.
Amen.
All right, that's one. No one in here is exempt. Right now, I make $53 an hour. I'm not working currently. I'm a union carpenter. I'm going to court with my landlord because I called 311 on him. I can be homeless. You understand? What we need to do is help each other. You see a bum on the street, feed him. Invite him into your home.
But sir, are you faced, just so I know, are you faced with eviction in that situation?
No, well, I'm going to court.
But is there any chance of eviction?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so
I'm a month-to-month tenant. My rent is $1,700.
Okay, but I'm just telling you this because we have lawyers that can help if you think you might be in this situation.
Yeah, I have a lawyer.
Okay, good.
I have a lawyer.
So what's your question?
My question is, what can you do for people like me? First of all, I feel you should close Rikers.
That's the plan.
I've been in Rikers 88,
Yep.
92.
Okay, what's the question now?
People like me who's been through the system, who is hard to get. If I didn't have the carpenter job, I wouldn't really be able to get a job where I
Right.
could afford to feed my son.
Right.
You understand?
All right.
So
Let me speak to
alone
that.
is $600 a month next year for Cardinal Hayes.
Okay, I thank you. I thank you for what you said up front, especially because we have to remember that. There's that phrase we use in the church, there but for the grace of God go I, right? That's something we should have to remember because so many folks who are homeless were just weeks ago in a home, and we want to get them back to a home. But to your point about folks who are incarcerated, this is a very important change we've made. So on Rikers and in the whole jail system, the previous standard in the previous administration, a typical inmate got 1 hour of education and training a day, 1 hour. It was nothing in terms of actually preparing them to go out into society and succeed. We are now instituting 5 hours per day of education and training for every inmate in Rikers. They can get back on their feet. You want to add?
So, and for those who are out and are looking for a job, so the Department of Small Business Services, we run all the Workforce One centers, but we have a center called Employment Works that specifically works with individuals who was previously incarcerated. We have over 100 companies that understand that these individuals have a record, and we work closely with you to actually find you a job. So certainly we can help you find a job. There is a website. If you go to nyc.gov/SBS and go to careers, you'll actually get more information, but certainly I could talk to you after this.
Okay, let's move right over here.
So my question is for NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority. I'm a parent of my daughter. She's not here right now. I'm advocating for her. She got jumped in February by 5 people that live in the building and they're not on the lease. My question is, what's going on with NYCHA and cameras in the back of the building? She lives in Marble Hill Development, which is on 225th and Broadway and Exterior Street. And she was jumped with my 3 granddaughters standing right there watching the whole thing by 1 man and 4 females. And then they're living in the building, selling drugs from that apartment. They're not on the lease. And I've reached out to the Inspector General at NYCHA, and they told me that it's a process.
Okay, so let me first say, how is your daughter now?
She's okay, but she's going through a lot of mental because of the trauma. She's very traumatized, and she was also stabbed in the inside her mouth.
Okay.
And it's very traumatic to me.
So
and I need help, and the system is not helping because I've tried.
Okay, let me say 2 things. So first of all, come on over. I want you to hear from the general manager of NYCHA. So this is a man who runs
It's the 50th precinct.
Okay, and I want you to hear from the precinct. But first from the NYCHA perspective, then from the precinct. But here's what I want to say to you. What I mentioned earlier, and if someone's going through that kind of trauma after something like that, there's no shame in that. I urge you, if she has not gotten the help she needs, good, and thank you for helping her to get that. All right, so now I want you to hear from them about what we're going to do.
Well, if there's things that we can do for you and your family and your apartment, that's the NYCHA's responsibility. We have a very close working relationship with the NYPD. We actually have a system in place where we have responses on issues like this. And I think this is one of these situations, again, really tragic, and apologies to you and your family moving forward here. If there's any additional information that you can share with us this evening, I will check with you before this is over.
Okay, I want you to hear from the precinct.
I remember your case. The person who we have identified as the primary person is still wanted. There's still a wanted poster on that person. We have conducted 5 search warrants in those buildings and arrested 11 people for selling drugs. But none of them were the person that affected your daughter. But we do constant work there. We do short-term narcotics investigations and arrest the people who are responsible for problems like this. And the Housing Authority has a great camera system there. It doesn't cover the whole buildings, but the pictures that it presents are great. So we are aware of it, okay? Thank you.
Okay. Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Linda Pedrosa, and I'm a member of Community Board 5. My main concern is regarding Human Resources Administration. Let me explain. For me and a lot of senior citizens and people with disabilities, we live on a very low income. As you know, Social Security hasn't been increasing that much. Every single time Social Security increases, let's say $1 or $2 or $3, the food stamps, they reduce, and the Section 8 share rent increases. And as you know, the cost of living is getting higher and higher. What's going to happen to us? The ones who are the most vulnerable here in the city of New York, whom have contributed a lot for the city. Now at our age, I'm 65 years old, and I think should be more respect, more compassion for the seniors and people with disabilities. And in addition, I would like to include, since I'm in Community Board 5, for people to issue Metro cards for whomever wants to come. I know this is volunteer.
Okay.
But yes.
Let me just say to the central point that you raised, and you said HRA. My point to you would be this. Look, I get very clearly that seniors in particular are getting really stressed by that combination that you talked about, things happening. Our mission is to try and create, as I said, more affordable housing for seniors by subsidizing the affordable housing seniors have already, by building new affordable housing for seniors. Also things like the rent freeze that you can get for the SCREE program and the DREE program that we still have tens of thousands of people who are not getting who are eligible, and the anti-eviction legal services. So strategically, we're trying to put all those pieces into play to help seniors who are in need. I know there's immense need out there, but that's what the city is trying to do strategically. Now, you said HRA, so I just want to understand, was there a specific problem with HRA?
It's regarding that every time when Social Security increases, let's say $5 or whatever,
Right.
in this case it was $3, they reduce the food stamps and
Okay, so
increase the rent.
Let me thank you. So the
That's it.
Commissioner of Social Services, Steve Banks, will speak to that.
I'm very sorry to hear about that problem. Unfortunately, the food stamp law is set by the Congress and by the United States Department of Agriculture, and it does require us to reduce the food stamps every time there's an increase in income. It's not a good law, but I'll tell you what, we're going to have someone come down and sit down with you right now and see whether or not we've made a mistake. You know, just because it's a federal law that says we have to raise it doesn't mean we might not have made a mistake in your case. So we will come right and talk to you right now.
Okay, what we're going to do now, please, if you could get straight to the question, and then I'm going to go into the different pockets that way, because I know we got bigger groups over here. So young lady right over here. Go ahead. Okay. It's all good.
Here we go.
Good evening. My name is LaTanya Wilson. I'm the manager of Millennium Dance Company. We are the only performing arts school within this area
Okay,
out of the Davidson
for
Community
everyone's
Center.
benefit, I just want to say, remember what we just said. Go right to the question.
What we're trying to find out is how can we get more space and funding, because we're growing out of the space that we are currently in. So we need some more help and direction as to how we can get that.
I don't think Cultural Affairs is here. Am I right? Am I wrong? Okay, but you normally get a space in school buildings or other types of buildings?
We're in the Davidson Community Center.
Again?
The Davidson Community Center.
The Davidson Community Center. Okay, I'm trying to think anyone here got an insight on this, or how we could help them find space? Okay, we're going to do a follow-up for you. You got her. So we want to connect to the Department of Cultural Affairs to see how we can help them find more space.
Okay, right over there. I'll come back to you right over there, and then I'm going to hit all the pockets. I'm coming.
Okay.
Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you.
To the Bronx. First of all, I just want to give my sympathy to the 46th precinct. I just want you guys to know the officer that passed away, actually a week before, she was actually basically protecting one of the buildings I manage. I saw her. Then the following week, she passed away, so it's kind of sad.
Very
the
sad.
46 is helping us, Mount Hope Housing Company, with a lot of work around the portfolio. My question, Mayor, is about the youth. I have a young man in my household, my stepson, and he's doing well in high school. It's the summer, and he has no job.
Right, we need a question. Come on.
Okay, hit the question. The question I have is, does the city has a program where these young men
can get a summer
can
job?
get a summer job?
Yes.
And can I also add one other thing,
No,
Mayor?
sir, we really have to be tight now.
Okay, thank
yes,
you.
the answer is yes. We have a summer youth employment program, and because of the council member and his colleagues, it's now 70,000 jobs this summer. Now, a lot of them have already started, but there still may be others. So we'll do follow-up right there. We'll do follow-up to see if we can have something available for your young man.
Okay, right over here.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
I give my sympathy to the police department for the lady from Bronx Development Hospital, because I had just left the hospital that day when the shooting was going on.
Oh, my God.
I give sympathy for everybody. I thank God for everybody that here tonight. Mayor, why are you talking about affordable house? Affordable house is affordable for more payment to be paid. But what I'm telling you that I did the lottery. I got the lottery. And by my budget with the Social Security and my pension, they say I went over by $4. We have to do something for the senior citizen. I live around the corner here. Mayor, Mr. Cabrera knew I went to his office. It took 4 months for the landlord to come and fix my ceiling.
HPD.
And I have asthma. Am I breathing in all the mold? I called 47 youths. I called 12. I called 5.
I got you. I want our colleague from HPD to come over. Ma'am, listen, everyone's got to just ask their question. I appreciate your strong personality, but everyone's got to ask the question. On the question of the affordable housing that you applied for, you said you missed by $4. Okay. What do we do if someone's in this situation, they won the lottery and they're only off by a little bit? What can we do to help them?
Okay, good evening. My name is Anne Marie Hendrickson, and I'm the Deputy Commissioner at HPD's Office of Asset and Property Management, and I administer the lottery process at HPD. Unfortunately, we have to be very strict, on the income guidelines.
So what can we do? I got that.
We
but
will
what
have
can
to
we do?
take a look at that and see if there are any mitigating factors that would enable you to still qualify for the
So
apartment.
can you look at the application again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so she is going to, I want her to follow up with you directly.
Yes, sir.
That application may still be usable. No, I'm saying she's in charge of it.
Yes, and I will.
She's going to talk to you to see if there's still a way for you to get the affordable housing with your application.
Yes,
So
sir. You're very welcome.
that's the lady right there.
Okay, we will talk.
Okay, great. Please help me. We could cover more people. The young lady, yes, right there. She's been waiting for a long time. We're almost right from the beginning. I know.
Thank you.
I see you.
I'll be quick. First of all,
wait.
No, it was the lady behind you.
Sorry.
Well,
whoever you were calling on.
yeah, right over there. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank you. I'm in a shelter. I came all the way from Long Island, so this is to the mayor.
You came from Long Island? I'm sorry.
Yes.
You're in shelter in Long Island?
Because I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. Mayor de Blasio, this means everything to me. This is my daughter, my pastor. I needed them to be here. But listen, as I suffer from post-traumatic, I call that 1-800-WELL all the time. They are excellent to me. But my thing to you is that when ACS is involved, can I just talk for 1 minute? ACS is involved. They use my mental against me. They took 2 of my babies and put them up for adoption. Now I have a new baby. I had an apartment over here in the Bronx on 174th in West Farms Estates. I had rats. I had roaches. I had no heat. I made complaints, Mayor, and they left me in there for 4 years.
So wait, but help me out. Where are you now? Where are you
now? I left. I ran from New York.
Uh-huh.
And I went to Long Island so they can help me, but I'm still a resident of the Bronx.
So, Steve, will you do a follow-up specifically, obviously? But
Right. I'm very sorry to hear that. We'll follow up with you and see if there's anything we can do to help you. And
okay,
we'll send
there's the
someone right
Commissioner
over
of
to where
Social
you're
Services, so he'll follow up directly with his team right after. Just stick around.
Stay
Just
right
stick
there.
around.
Stay
He's
right
coming
there.
to you.
We'll come see you right away.
Thank you.
Great. Let's head over there. Lady with the hat, you've been waiting for a long time as well. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, my name is Helene. I'm on a board member from Bailey Houses.
Everybody listen, if you want to get your question, we have to let everyone be heard. Go ahead.
I'm okay.
Just
I'm
a question.
board-
Go ahead.
I have to stand up?
Go ahead. Question.
My name is Helene. I'm one of the board members of Bailey Houses. I don't hear any talk about NYCHA. What are you, this is my question directly to you, Mayor, not for these people over here, not for no one. What are you doing to stop the private, how you say that?
The privatization.
Of NYCHA.
There is
Why are you allowing
There is no privatization of NYCHA. I'm standing about 2 feet. I'll get even closer. There is no privatization of NYCHA. There are people who like to say there's privatization and then cannot back it up with the facts. Every NYCHA building is publicly owned on public land, and it will remain that way. There are places where we have brought in some private money, but we still own the land and we still control the buildings. And we want the money in to help fix up the buildings because you know what shape they're in. So this fear, which was stoked when Bloomberg was mayor, and I understand why when he was mayor people had a particular set of assumptions. But I've said there are places where we will develop some new buildings, but that's not privatization because we own the land, we control the building, we control the money. So it will be a public authority. As far as I'm going to be around here, it will continue to be public 100%.
Okay, thank
you.
Okay, the lady in the white in the back, all the way in the back, she has her hand for a long time. Oh, I thought she had her hand up a long time.
Okay, next. Keep going. Keep going.
The lady in orange, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sheena Rudolph. I'm a Community Board 5. Direct question. What are you, Mayor, is going to do about the victims that have of Western Union. There's people that's stealing money orders out of the mailboxes, crossing it out, and we are being penalized because of that.
You're saying, just understand, your concern is the people steal from the mailboxes.
No.
No?
What are you doing for people that have been victimized of that to put a law in place so that the rent that they're supposed to be writing it to, they don't get kicked out of their apartments?
Okay. I don't know is the answer, and that's important to say when you don't know in life, because what I've heard from the police is the problem of things being stolen, but I've never heard someone talk about this idea of what it means in terms of paying the rent and everything else. I don't know if Consumer Affairs is here or anyone else who might be able to speak to this, because it's a new issue for me. Okay, we're going to have to come back to you, so you got your follow-up man right there, because I need to get an answer for you, and it's a good question. You want to find a way to make sure that someone whose money is taken somehow gets compensated for it. Okay, I don't even know what that is, honestly. That's a tough question, because that's obviously a criminal act that's been done to that person. So we're going to have to search for a solution. So let's work with PD and Consumer Affairs on that, okay? Thank you.
Right over here, Mr. Mayor.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm from the Creston Avenue Baptist Church. Pastor Cabrera, God bless you. God bless you, Mayor Blasio. My question is concerning our returning citizens.
Yes.
In the church where we are in the center, we have our prisoners, our people who went to prison, keep coming to us for help, and there's really not enough help. What are your plans for them? There's no community center, and there's no job really for them. How can you help the church to survive in the community?
And I want to thank you for what your church does, because
They do a lot. They do a lot.
Because there's so many people who are trying to get right and come back and rejoin society, and if they don't have a helping hand, it's not going to work. What we've been trying to do, as I said, first of all, at the front end of the process is where more and more of our effort is, to stop people from ending up incarcerated to begin with. So we've been, with the great work of the NYPD, reducing crimes. That means a lot fewer people are being arrested. We have many more alternatives to incarceration we're putting in place. So that's reducing the number of people who go through the prison system. But we're also trying to recognize when people come out that, first of all, they're in our jail. First of all, we're trying, as I said, we'll give more education, more training. When they come out, we're giving a transitional job. Anyone who's been sentenced at Rikers comes out and gets a short-term transitional job as a guarantee going forward. We have banned the city from asking for their history in terms of incarceration so that people have more employment opportunities. So there's a bunch of things we're doing. It's not everything I want to be doing, honestly, because of resources. But the city is actually showing a number of ways we can help prepare people better to reenter. Thank you.
Okay, right over here, the young lady.
Yes, thank you. So 4 years ago, you ran on a platform to ban horses from city streets. Currently, there is no movement on the ban. Are there any achievable steps that you can take currently to improve the conditions for these horses?
The answer is yes, if the city council will help me. The things that would really help, I believe in a ban. I still believe in a ban, and I want to find that opportunity one day. But the other things that have been presented by folks in the animal rights movements have been other ways to improve the quality of life of the horses, also require legislation. Some in the movement think they don't. Our lawyers vehemently believe they do. This is where each council member matters. When we tried 2 different times, we could not muster a majority. But I think there is a majority to be had if good people at the community level will convince their council members to join us.
Well, I don't need no convincing, as you know. I'm on the bill. I'm still on the bill. I'm still on the bill.
Thank
okay,
you.
Gentleman over here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Actually, mine is a solution-based statement, not so much as a question.
We like solution-based statements.
Okay, here we go. It's something like, I was wondering if it would be possible to maybe put a levy, a fine on those who neglect to utilize their turning blinkers.
Who neglect to utilize what?
Use their turning blinkers.
The turning blinkers, okay, in the car.
This solution would not only help prevent accidents, but also save lives while providing additional income that could be applied to improving driving conditions.
I appreciate that. I was asked that question at another meeting about a year ago, and I followed up with the NYPD. Here's the answer. In a world where we drive down crime and other problems a lot more, that would be conceivable. Right now, we can't get to it as the honest answer. Why? Because we're focused on speeding, we're focused on failure to yield to pedestrians, and we're focused on cell phone usage while driving and texting while driving. So that's where the focus is on enforcement. The not using the blinker is an issue.
It's too minor?
Bluntly, yes, we're saying it's important, but it's less compared to those challenges. That's the honest truth. And that's where we're going to focus our enforcement on.
Okay, where's the lady with the 2 signs? Right over there. I just can't ignore her.
I waited. Oh, congratulations.
Yes, you did wait a long
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. Cabrera, thank you so much as well. My name is Vivian. I'm from PS. I'm the PTA president at PS 246, Beverly Pascal Miller, principal. My concern, I'm on behalf of all the parents of the school, and we have issues with safety in our area where we were, I spoke to a representative for DOT.
If you could get to the question, it would really help me.
Okay, so we're talking about safety. We need more speed bumps. We need flashing lights, more signs.
Where?
Between Kingsbridge and Fordham Road, Jerome and Grand Concourse. He was wonderful enough to take all the paperwork that I gave him. Also, meter removal.
Wait. That's it. We got to remember, 1 per person. So your point is around the school. There's going to be people here to follow up with.
Right.
She's the transportation commissioner for a whole city. She's going to be right there afterwards.
Okay.
Your concern is in that stretch, you'd like to see more safety measures in place.
Correct.
What are we thinking?
Well, on Kingsbridge? On which street?
Kingsbridge, Creston Avenue between Kingsbridge and Fordham Road. We need more safety, more flashing lights, signs.
That is an area where we've done some work, and we have speed cameras, and we can come talk to you about some of the other things we're planning for that. We're actually going to put in more speed cameras because we have heard that concern on Kingsbridge.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
This is for
No, wait.
Okay.
1 per. Thank you very much.
Okay, right over here.
There you go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Here's my question.
Excellent. I like you already.
I need 4 business cards, Parks, Mitchell-Ama, Housing Connect. And my question to you is...
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt.
Okay.
Parks, you got the Parks Commissioner here and the Borough Commissioner. HPD, you got the Deputy Commissioner. That's also Housing Connect. Go ahead.
And Mitchell-Ama's
And
Housing
Mitchell-Ama,
Connect?
yep.
Okay. And my question is for DOT. There's a new bus lane that is now on the left side.
So that's MTA.
That's MTA?
Yes, who runs the MTA?
I don't know.
You don't know? No. No. Who runs the MTA? State. Good for you, young man. The state of New York. So, the state, not the city. Now, Polly is one of the city's representatives. The state still runs it, but we have representatives. What is your bus concern?
My question is that they put in bus stops on the left side. Now, the left side...
Of which street?
This is on Gun Hill and White Plains Road. Now, when you're coming down the street, if you're not aware of the neighborhood, you would not know that there is the left side bus stop because the bus stops on the other block. So if you're familiar with White Plains Road and Gun Hill, it's on a U-turn. So it's very complicated to understand what the signs are.
Okay.
So we can take a look at
Yeah, I think sounds like that's where maybe we need to take a look at the
Thank
signage
you.
on it. So happy to follow
Okay, they're going to follow up with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, the gentleman right here in the blue shirt.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jose Solis, and I welcome your fight against the rats.
Excellent.
However, I was wondering if you have a program to educate people on littering in the train station and the street, and also educate people smoking on the platform, the train station platform. So I was wondering if you have a program to educate them.
We don't have like a big all-out effort right now because there's a lot of other things that we're trying to promote that are particularly urgent, like the mental health outreach and other things that are real urgent. But I think those are good things that we can work on over time. I certainly want to do everything we can to stop littering, stop smoking. You know, we've We try and enforce on smoking in parks and that kind of thing in the appropriate way. So those educational campaigns are always good. They're not the focus now, but it's the kind of thing we'll do more of in the future. Thank you.
Okay, right over here.
Thank you, Mayor, for being here. Fordham Hill Owners Corporation is really concerned about the value of the property depreciating. I welcome the shelter. I mean, I would volunteer there myself.
Thank you.
But it's about our investment. Now, to allay those, I would request that you expedite Councilman Cabrera's request for cameras down Sedgwick, which would, you know, at least give us some sense of safety.
Yes.
I would also request if Webb Avenue, it's a tiny little street, double parking, and every morning when we get to work, we get blocked by the sanitation trucks. And it wastes
Okay,
about
so
2
let me, those are
minutes.
two separate things, but you already got them out, so we'll respond to them. Sanitation Commissioner's going to come over. On the first, the councilman and I were talking today about this. We're working with NYPD to see what can be done about the cameras. There are some issues we still have to work on. Loud and clear the concern about the property values. I believe in my heart, including what I've seen in my own neighborhood, where there is a shelter just a few blocks from where I live, and the property values have been going up and up and up for 20 years. I don't believe that a well-run shelter with a strong NYPD presence is going to, in any meaningful way, affect property values. I really don't. I understand the concern. I'm a property owner. I have a home myself. But I don't believe you're going to find that's what happens. But on the other thing you mentioned, it was what street? Webb Avenue. So there's, why is there double parking? You're saying because of alternate side? Oh, two sides of the street. Okay.
Okay.
Just let her. No. We got to do. We've done. You've already got one.
Let me come and talk with you because I think he went.
Okay, she'll
and
follow
I'll find
up.
out the
Go ahead.
exact location.
Right here.
Hold on. There you go.
I don't see any of the fire department. Is there fire department
I
here?
don't think fire came, but
Okay, I have a big issue, and I know everybody else suffers from this also. The fire hydrants, they're open, full blast all the time. It's just insane that we're losing that much water in this city, and nobody's doing anything about it. I want to hear something.
okay. So let me raise it.
Alone here?
So let's raise it to PD. What are we doing, sir? Over there.
Yeah, okay.
You can speak to that? Okay, actually we have the DEP commissioner here that runs the water supply, Commissioner Vinny Sapienza. He will speak to this issue.
So you can call 311 or you can call our office directly. I'll give you a call. Okay.
So, and then let me ask Chief, and what's the policy if PD goes by an open fire hydrant? What happens? So, come on. Okay. So it's the other thing, sir. I don't know what your name is, but so I want Chief to speak to you too about what PD will do when they see an open hydrant.
In the past, the police cars had hydrant wrenches. I'm being told some of the wrenches now are a little more sophisticated and very expensive,
Right.
so we don't have as many.
But did you pass it on to FD?
Then we will get FD to
Is that the
scene.
message that officers on patrol have, is to pass that
Yes.
along?
If they don't have a wrench, that they
Okay.
will get FD on
So-
the scene to close it.
What we will reiterate to all the commands in this community is that PD officers should let the fire department know so they can get over and fix those situations. So if you're not getting that done from 311, we're going to try and make sure that the police department helps the fire department to get that done.
If we know about it, we'll shut it off if we have a wrench. If not, we'll get FD on the scene.
Okay, right over here, the lady in the black shirt, long sleeve. You need a mic. Thank you.
My question is, my name is Tisha Jones. I'm the president of Bailey Resident Council. I'm a part of New York City Housing Authority. I'm a resident there. My question is to the both of you. With the HUD cuts, how is NYCHA going to prosper, especially the residents with the backlog and the tickets?
Yep.
I myself, we have a number of issues with the mold and the lead. I have a child that got lead poisoning with a 45 level in 2009 at 4 years old. HUD and the regulations from HUD is that NYCHA is supposed to come to apartments with children under the age of 7 and check for peel and paint, check for mold, and that hasn't occurred not once.
And in your district alone, there's only 3 New York City public housing developments. And we want more than just funding for Family Day. We want more funding to get the things in our
I'm with you.
development
I'm with you. It's getting late. I hear and I'm familiar with this situation. So let me speak to this. On the HUD cuts where you started, so far, thank God, we have seen very limited cuts compared to what we feared. Now this ball game ain't over, and then we have to worry about next year and the year after that. But at this moment, they've been more modest than we feared. We continue to put a lot more money. The city of New York is putting a lot more money into NYCHA than ever before. I've just added another $1.3 billion for repairs to NYCHA. That is not an obligation for the city. I think it's the right thing to do. In terms of your particular situation, I'm obviously feel for you as a parent, and I want to make sure we're doing everything we can do to support you. I would like the general manager to personally talk to you after this about what we can do to help you in terms of your apartment and your family.
Yeah, we'll go through your records and we calculate. Mr. Ponce is right behind you as well.
Okay, so you'll follow up directly with the general manager. Thank you.
Beautiful. Right over here.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for being here, Mayor and Mr. Cabrera. My name is Elias. I'm from...
Higher.
My name is Elias. I'm from the Bailey Avenue Heath Homeowner Association. We're noticing a lot of development in the area, which is good, but we're also noticing a lot of dumping of garbage, which starts off from outdoor barbecuing in the neighborhood. I'm not sure what the laws are for that, which leads to dumping, and then it leads to our best friends, the rats across the street.
Yes.
So I want to...
I'm bringing over the sanitation commissioner, if she would come this way where I am.
Sorry, I'm trying to do, I was doing the last one.
Come on, let's work on our directions. Okay, so the question is illegal dumping where?
And outdoor barbecuing.
Okay, well, outdoor barbecue, on the sidewalk.
Yeah, on the sidewalk.
But the central point I want to get to, because sanitation can act on it, is the illegal dumping first. So where's the illegal dumping happening?
On Bailey Avenue, across the street, next to the Major Deegan, 230th.
Wait, be specific, Bailey Avenue?
Bailey Avenue.
And West 240th?
230th, West 230th.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are two things. One is that we can put some more enforcement out there and try and catch them. As you know, the fine for that starts at $1,500 and goes up to $20,000. The second thing is if you see them and you do an affidavit and we are able to get a fine from them, we will share that fine with you. And so details are on our website about being able to do that, but we will look at that location and put some more sanitation police out there.
Okay, right over here, the lady in the white shirt. She needs a mic. Okay, there you go, right to your right, to your left for me.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Councilman. My name is Patricia Newland, and I'm a member of the 52nd Precinct Community Council. My question is, what can you or your office do to publicize the function or activity of the precinct councils?
Excellent question. I appreciate it. I want to thank you for all you do with the Precinct Council. I think, give her a round of applause. I think our leadership of the precincts would attest how much they need the feedback and the guidance that you give them. In terms of letting people know more about it, I don't know if Chief or anyone has an idea, because I don't have an immediate thought about how we could promote it more. Are we doing something to let people know? Come on over.
We
people know.
We always promote, and now we use social media because we're very active department-wide with social media to get the message out. We try and push the community council meetings. All the precinct commanders do, the boroughs do, because that's the one meeting where you can meet with the precinct commander and other people and ask direct questions, such as this town hall meeting, just like this forum. You can talk about the issues. There'll be NCO officers there, steady sector officers. So you can help spread the word. We're getting the word out through social media and other avenues that they utilize with the precinct.
Okay, gentleman with a black jacket.
We got a microphone for you right there. Whoa, very fast. Woo. Impressive.
Hi. Good afternoon.
See, government does work, okay?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman. My name is Don D. McKellar. I'm a homeowner. I'm in the Bronx Community Board 2, and I'm a disabled veteran and a 2017 recipient of City and State as of last night. My question is to vending, okay? Veterans, we have been allowed to vend since 1894, and we are looking at an increase. We need more permits for the veterans that are coming out that are, looking to be self-employed.
Right.
Vending is an excellent small business. It's entrepreneurship. And I want to know, what are we going to do for us increasing the number of permits in Intro 1303?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on right now, as you know, that we are trying to sort out the right number. I think the council feels strongly there is an increase that makes sense. I've said to them very clearly, I'm open to an increase, but I have two concerns. One, that we find the right enforcement mechanism to stop some of what we've seen in terms of people inappropriately passing along the permits, or obviously so many people without permits. We got to figure out what's the right kind of enforcement look like. And the second thing is a system that's respectful of the brick and mortar stores in terms of where vending can happen. What we hope to do is put all those factors together and come up with a new policy, and that well could include an increase in the number of permits. So that's what we're working on.
Okay, rapid fire questions right over here. Rapid fire questions.
Thank you. I work in the mental health field, and I want to thank the mayor's wife for her initiative in mental health. However, my question is regarding the opioid epidemic in New York City, more specifically with the Bronx. Can you address it and what the city is doing to help with that?
Yes, and I appreciate the question. All the men and women of the NYPD here are more focused than ever on this issue. And so they're one piece of it, both in terms of trying to increasingly focus on interrupting the supply of heroin, particularly that's being laced with fentanyl, and you know how dangerous that is. So more efforts to interdict this supply. Now all of our officers will be carrying naloxone, and they've had an increasing rate of being able to save people because more and more of our officers have that reversal drug. Then what we're doing with the mental health services, as you know, is making the treatment more available. You can call that same number works to get someone opioid treatment. And we're trying to spread the word on that so people know they can take advantage of it. I know, it's a crisis here in the Bronx, it's a crisis around the city, it's a crisis around the country. But the fact is, it's that combination. There's a police element, there's a treatment element, there's making the treatment much more readily available. We're also trying to forcefully educate the healthcare community to stop prescribing so many opioids, because that's where a lot of people get hooked.
Okay, right over here, lady in the green.
Thank you. My name is LaShonda. I work for Community Board 5. I'm the only staff person of Community Board 5.
Yep.
The reason, my question is to you is, we're housed in BCC's campus. Because of the conditions of one of the halls, we were moved from one hall to another hall.
So what's the question? Help me out.
Well, my question is, can you help? Is there any way you can help the community boards when it comes to space?
Yeah. Okay, so you have a pure space problem.
Pure.
Just need a better space.
We do need.
Jonathan here will follow up with DCAS, that's the City Administrative Services Agency, and if the current space is not usable, we'll work to see if we can find alternative space.
Okay, right over here.
Yes, because
Okay. Come on. Paula, faster than that. Come on.
Hi, my name is Denise. I've lived in this community 60 years. In my backyard, I have raccoons.
Yeah.
And they walk up and down. What am I supposed to do? I've had exterminators. You can't
Okay,
kill them.
Health Department, I'm going to see if I get this right, because I was just asking this very day, the Health Department, on raccoons. I think I have the answer. You're going to help me. Come over. You're going to help me. If a raccoon is dangerous, meaning they're rabid, they're diseased, they're wounded, whatever, that's when you call 311 and get connected to the Health Department.
Let me make sure that that's
That's what they told me earlier. So,
Yeah.
so I'm going to say
So
yes, I know.
but I think that is correct. Yeah.
But if a raccoon is just fine, normal, healthy raccoon, then you can call 311 and they will give you the number to call. Unfortunately, it's a homeowner responsibility at that point, but they will give you the number of who you deal with to get that done. I'm a homeowner too in an area that's having the same problem, but the difference, either way, call 311. But if there's a danger, that's when the Health Department will send someone over to deal with it. Thank you.
Okay, coming to this side, right over here. Yes. Yes.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Pastor Cabrera. My name is Zainabu Sase Harrell. I'm the president of the Sierra Leone Nurses Association here in the Bronx, and I'm also a member of the Cambridge Heights Neighborhood Improvement Association. And my question is more addressed to the African community. You have the largest African community in the United States in the Bronx. And it's a burden for people like me as a founder and a president because I have Africans from all different countries come to me for all kinds of problems. I'm a nurse, a registered nurse of almost 18 years.
What's the question?
What is the city doing to address the needs of the African community? Because they invest in businesses, homeowners.
You don't have to convince me. I am very, very impressed by the African community in the Bronx. I happen to have traveled in West Africa. I have a lot of respect for people who have come here and what they're contributing. The point to me would be, one answer is we're doing everything we do for every community. The things that we've talked about throughout the evening, the affordable housing, the accessibility to early child education, the kinds of things we talked about in terms of social services, we're doing this for everyone. Now, if you say, how can we work more closely with community leaders, that's something we always want to do more, and our Commissioner for Immigrant Affairs, Nisha Agarwal, will talk to that.
Great, and we've been doing a lot of work. I think one of our team members actually was focused on working with the African community here, is here. We should talk afterwards to bring community workshops, services, work much more closely with the community and in your language to be able to make a better connection. So I'll follow up with you.
Okay, right over here. I'm going to try to do two. Please, if we could go to the questions quickly.
There we go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and to the councilman. My concern is, I'm a senior homeowner, and the taxes and water and sewers are about to make me homeless. What are you doing to help the seniors? Many seniors are faced with the same type of problem, with the sanitation giving us tickets, and the water and sewer, and the regular taxes, and we don't have any relief.
Okay, so let's see, we have Finance Department here. Is Jacques still here? Yes, he is. So this is the Commissioner of Finance. This is the man to know right here, Jacques Jiha, the man with all the money. So a senior homeowner who limited income, who is dealing with the water bills, the property tax, et cetera. So the first thing I want to say to you is, for 4 years now, we have not increased the property tax rate. Property taxes have gone up for people as the value of their home goes up, but not the rate. And we have been very clear about not increasing the rate. We've also been keeping the water bills lower than they were in terms of how much they've grown. We have taken a lot of what was being paid for by homeowners, and we're paying for it now by the city budget. We actually expect to be able to give you a rebate on some of your water bills soon once we deal with some legal issues. But if you have a senior who's struggling economically, so talk about what we're doing with the property tax exemption.
We have a program called SHE, which is a Senior Citizen Home Exemption Program. So if you make less than $50,000 a year.
You make less than $50,000? Okay.
And you're 65 years old?
Are you 65? You are lying to me. You're lying. Council member, she's lying to this panel.
She has drank from the fountain of youth.
You look great.
We will talk to you after
but this means you could, how much could it be? As much as $1,500?
Yes.
So you may be eligible for a property tax break as much as
50% of the assessed value.
Right. For some people, it's as much as $1,500. So follow up with this man at the end of the meeting.
All right.
Okay.
I just want to add one quick thing too.
Yes.
Last month,
ma'am, over here, this man too. This is the guy who runs the water.
Last month, the New York City Water Board expanded what's called the Home Water Assistance Program for seniors who make less than $50,000, and there'll be an additional rebate to you on your bill.
It'll happen automatically?
Automatically.
Okay. But this other one you have to apply for, right? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, right over here and then right over here. And if you could go straight to the question.
Yes. Mayor, I would like to ask about mass incarceration. And I would like to know how would they fix the corruption behind those walls. I was someone who was choked by correction officers, and I made Channel 11 News because I was not going to back down for the falsified charges that they put against my life. And I am grateful that I know that you have went there before because I follow you. And I just want to know, what can we do to save our African-American young men as well as women that are going through so much injustice behind those walls?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to state this point again because I think it's the most important point we can make when it comes to mass incarceration. Best way to solve the problem is to keep those young men from ever going behind bars to begin with, right? But in general, listen. This is this combination we're talking about of driving down crime, and then where, God forbid, someone has made a mistake, where appropriate, nonviolent crimes, for example, to have an alternative to incarceration to do that, where we have bail reform efforts that keep people from having to go into Rikers waiting trial. There's a lot of ways that we can just reduce the number of people who ever go inside a cell. That's to me the center of things, and I think everything else we're doing, like pre-K, everything we talked about, is also to change the trajectory of young people's lives. But to your question, what happens if they do end up behind bars? We've been trying to fundamentally change the culture of our correction system. So we screen applicants differently to become officers. We train them differently. We have a whole different disciplinary structure to make sure there's accountability. Our officers, I'm going to say this, and I know you've had a very bad experience, but our officers, I think a lot of them try to do the right thing, and I want to support and respect those. For the ones who do the wrong thing, there's more and more accountability, and there's been consequences. So that's a culture change that we're trying to achieve, so that if someone is behind bars, everyone treats everyone else with respect. We reduce the violence level, and again, we focus, and a lot of officers, I was at Rikers a few weeks ago, officers said this to me, the more we're giving the inmates, particularly the young inmates, education and training, and that's what occupies their time, it keeps them from turning to more violent and negative activities, and it prepares them to get out and stay out. Thank you. All right, now I think we only have about 10 minutes left, so we're 10 minutes out. Let's see how many we can get done in the last 10 minutes.
Straight to the question. This is going to be real rapid-fire questions.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Nelson. I live in the Mount Eden section of the Bronx. As you know, this borough ranks dead last in health outcomes. It has the highest asthma rate in the nation.
Yes, sir. What's the question?
Yes. I'd like to know if you or anyone in your administration has considered covering over the highways, particularly the cross Bronx, to alleviate some of the asthma and some of the health outcomes that are adversely affecting us.
It's a very fair question. I would tell you, honestly, the sheer cost would be prohibitive any time in the foreseeable future. But that being said, I think the bigger plan is to constantly reduce car use and truck use, get people into mass transit. We're trying to expand mass transit in a number of ways. Even things like trucks. We have a new plan we announced just a couple of weeks ago to get a lot of trucks off the streets by using more rail. And rail is much better for the environment, and Bronx is one of the places where you can actually do a lot more rail. So I don't think we're in a position to deck over the cross Bronx. I think we are in a position to reduce car and truck usage in some very meaningful ways. You want to add?
Very quickly, also, believe it or not, trees also absorb carbon dioxide. We completed a 1 million tree campaign 2 years ahead of schedule. The mayor gave us additional $80 million to plant more trees. We're targeting specific areas where there's an undercount. So trees improve air quality, water quality, and sucks out some of those carbon dioxides out of the air. So expect more trees to be planted in your community.
Okay, right over here.
Good evening. My name is Miss Wilson, and I'm from NYPD. And I'm here because I want to know, why is it that NYPD is the biggest slumlords that there is? I've been homeless for over 9 months with a steam pipe break in my house, and I lost everything. And housing is telling me that they cannot fix my radiators until September. That's another damn season.
Okay. I understand you've had a very bad experience. I'm not going to agree with your characterization of NYPD, because NYPD houses 400,000 people, and I think they do a lot of the right things. But in terms of your problem, we want to help you.
We haven't had even in no refrigerator cycles in 25 years. So what kind of...
I just disagree, but I want to make sure we address your issue. So, Michael.
Not familiar with your specific case. Mr. Bobby Knapp, who's in charge of it, he is right there. I will see you before this meeting's over. Find out what's going on.
Okay, he will find out, because I don't want you to have to keep waiting that long. So let's see what we can do to address it.
Okay, right over here. No, right there.
All right, so I have Section A, and I have a disabled child. We have mold in the living room. We have no windows, no ventilations. He's been sick 7 times since we moved in January.
What kind of housing are you in?
Section A.
Okay.
I have Section 8s in a
Yep.
private house in the basement. So my question, I also put in for a transfer, and they denied me. So my question is, how can I go about
Do you deal with NYCHA or HPD?
NYCHA Section 8?
NYCHA Section 8, come back over. So
Yeah.
they'll come here.
Well, we have housing.
Okay, so if she has a health problem, what do you do about
and
it?
we actually have housing quality standards. This is an unacceptable situation. I don't know what's going on right now. We will inspect and find out what's really what's going on at that site. It should not be happening.
Yeah, so I need an emergency transfer, right?
Again, we'll find out what's going on.
Okay.
Who can I talk to?
Okay, right over here and right over here. I'm trying to get 2 per group.
Hi, my name is Robert Whetstone. I'm the executive director of the Featherbed Lane Improvement Association. And I've been there now 27 years, and we lost our funding in 2011. And I want to know where's the money so that we can continue providing service to kids between the ages of 5 and
What kind of service?
drug prevention and intervention.
Okay, I don't know the history, but we can have one of our folks follow up right there and see if there's something we can do to help. And I appreciate it. Right
Okay,
there.
the lady right over here.
Hi, it's
Hey.
hot but snow removal.
Say again?
It's hot but snow removal.
Uh-huh. Wow, you're thinking ahead. I just did a heat alert, and you're doing snow removal.
Dangerous. Over the Deegan Expressway, off-ramp 230th Street, city-owned property. It's like a bridge. When you were first elected, it was cleaned the day after a major snowstorm. After the folks on Fifth Avenue protested and complained, it's never been cleaned again.
No connection.
No, wait a minute. No,
Come on.
No, I don't,
No, there
I don't
isn't.
know.
I mean, this whole
I'm
thing.
just saying.
I just have to jump in. Wait a minute.
Okay,
Let me jump in and I'll go back to you. This thing bugs me. Not you personally. This madness, and first of all, if you read it in the tabloids, it may not be true.
No, I live it.
Okay.
I walk over
That's
it.
not what I'm saying. The underlying motivation, the way the tabloids presented that things happen because of some political intrigue and all, it's just not true.
No.
The Upper East Side thing was because some folks in that particular garage didn't do their job that day, and that's been rectified. But in your case, if something happened before and then it didn't happen later, someone's not doing their job. We need to get them to do their job. Where is it exactly?
It's over the Deegan Expressway on the off-ramp 230th Street.
Is it a pedestrian?
It's an overpass, and people have to walk over it. There's no way to avoid it. We're walking in the streets early in the morning, which is unacceptable. It's like sheets of ice.
Okay, so just say it one more time exactly. It's an overpass.
Overpass over the Deegan Expressway.
Right, on what street?
It's like
So it's the
230.
sidewalks on the
there were
overpass.
Like three very small sidewalks. It takes up to a week.
Okay.
And then you have all of the traffic
Is that
coming
you guys or you guys
going
or
onto
Park?
the highway.
You think it's DOT?
It's dangerous.
Okay, we got you. We got you.
I think
You have made your point.
All right. I think it may be us, and I want to reiterate what the mayor says. You know, we had a couple winters where we had a lot of challenges with snow, and I think in some cases with pedestrian overpasses, we had a lot of snow, it melted, it turned into really hard ice, and we had to basically get crews out with like pickaxes and machinery to go through it. So we will get the location, we will put it high on our priority
Would that be
list.
you? That kind of
It's
overpass?
well,
is
we'll
DOT?
double check, but it's probably us for
Okay,
that
so
one.
it's probably DOT. There's the commissioner. There's the borough guy. They will follow up directly. Thank you.
Okay, right here. You've been waiting so patiently. Thank you so much. And then the gentleman in the back.
Good evening, everybody, Mayor and
It's all good.
Councilman. Yes, you know, he's my former boss.
What's your question?
My main question I've been waiting for: what is your office, right, is doing with people who's in human trafficking, especially young people?
Okay. The human trafficking reality is a very painful one. NYPD is very focused on it. And right now, when we see any situation with prostitution, for example, we know there may be a human trafficking angle. And they are trying to disrupt and go back to the root cause and figure out who's behind it and enforce. So that's the central point. You want to add?
Mr. Mayor, we also have a work group actually in the Children's Cabinet that's looking at human trafficking as well, particularly around sex trafficking of children and labor trafficking of children. And so it's something that's very high on our list of priorities. And so I'm glad you asked about it because not many people talk about it. It's very important.
Okay, gentleman in the back. Not you. Yeah, right there.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My son and I would like to know, when I was young, they had community centers and schools that we can go in and play basketball at his age. Stand up.
How old is that young man?
He's 11.
11 years old. Well, you are impressive that you're this late at a town hall meeting. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's your name?
K-Song.
Say again?
K-Song.
Kason? You're a good citizen. I'm impressed, Kason.
We'd like to know if there any way possible we could like have a school, even in the evening times or on the weekends, where kids his age could play basketball, because there's no way out here for them to play.
Which school?
Like this school right here, 386, or a school or something near here, where they can play on the weekends or in the evening time.
So we have, and I'm looking at you and also Parks, for his age group, we have any kind of recreation opportunities?
You can go on our website and we can check with you later. We have a lot of kids in motion programs.
Wait a minute. Dorita, hold on. Dorita, pause 1 second. Mitch wants to add. Hold on. Go ahead.
One, for outdoors, we have a lot of what we call kids in motion programs. We send our park workers into playgrounds to activate them. We also have rec centers throughout the borough. I don't know the closest one near you, but we can certainly connect you with our staff. And we do have those on weekends as well. Kids in Motion is during the week, but we do have our rec centers on weekends, which is a more indoor, cooler environment where the kids can play.
I funded the tennis club that we have in St. James Park. Also, there's basketball at Kids Bay Boys and Girls Club that myself and the mayor has been funding. It's about 800. The community has been asking about youth program. We're funding at least 15 youth programs in the community.
Have any initiatives in place currently or plans for the future?
Say again?
If you have any initiatives in place currently or any plans for future to help transition us from the dangerous, toxic sources of energy that we use to help us transition and move along with other technologies that exist that are better for our environment.
That is one of the most important questions of the evening. I thank you for that. So, yes, in addition to all the things we're doing to retrofit buildings, both public and private, and get our city vehicles to become electric, and a whole host of things we're doing, the big question is the one you raised: how are we going to move to renewables and ultimately be fossil fuel free? The first step is to increasingly get the city's energy supply from some combination of wind and solar and hydro. We're literally in the middle now of trying to come up with a plan that we will make public of how we're going to do that and use the city's purchasing power to support renewable energy becoming more affordable for everyone. Because President Trump pulled out of the Paris Accord, we issued a mandate to city agencies to actually increase their goals for reduction of emissions, because we have to compensate, and every city has to compensate for the mistake of our nation. So you will be seeing not too long from now some major new developments in terms of solar, wind, and or hydro. Thank you.
Over here.
Grace, I'm waiting a while. My voice is not ready. Grace and peace to everyone. Chaplain Alvarado. My question is, what supports do you have to have checks and balances for resident associations within NYCHA, and then supports to utilize the spaces that are within NYCHA developments that aren't being used, like community spaces, resource centers that are filled with materials but are not being used?
All right, so my view is that I want to see all space being used. I don't know what you mean in the checks and balances level, but if the question is how do we make sure there's accountability, is that what you're trying to get to? So in terms of each development and space being fully utilized, which obviously we want as many units to be online and community spaces, what do we do to work with the resident councils to make sure that is happening and that they have transparency around that?
We currently have a program. It's the REASE program. It's the Resident Empowerment Program. I'll give you the numbers right after this. That program is looking at inventory of all of our spaces and working with city agencies as well as with community-based organizations. We are doing a review of the utilization to make sure that everything is valuable. I'd like to find out specifically what you're talking about, where it's at, and see how we can work with you.
Okay, right over here, the lady in the white. You've been waiting for a long time. Thank you so much for your patience.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Asia McHenry, and my question is, what can be done to prevent landlords from discriminating against people with programs? I have a Section 8 voucher, I have been homeless for 2 years with my 3 children because landlords say Section 8 or they say credit or they want guarantors to make 80 times the
Okay,
rent.
I got you.
All right.
I passed a law when I was in the city council. It's not legal to discriminate based on someone having government support. That's not legal in New York City. Consequences are very stringent. If a landlord is caught doing that, there are substantial financial penalties, and we also can use that to help them, to force them to give you an apartment. So have you been in touch with the Human Rights Commission? No, okay. We want to make sure, and which agency are you getting your voucher from? From NYCHA? HPD. HPD. Okay. So HPD, our deputy commissioner's over there, but she will talk to you also about, we want to connect you to the Human Rights Commission so you can file a complaint against any landlord who's done that. And we believe that if we can find a specific instance, we can use that to help you get an apartment. But if it's been 2 years, the other question I'm concerned about is other ways that we can help. So, Deputy Commissioner, we should have folks work with her directly to see what we can do about that. Thank you.
We have 5 minutes. 5 minutes? Quick
minutes
question.
left. 5 minutes left.
Good evening. My question is, we have small businesses.
If you could put the mic close to your mouth. Thank you.
We have small businesses in Kingsbridge Road that has been there for 30 years. What is your vision for the Kingsbridge Road? It's never been acknowledged that these small businesses need help. Not by Cabrera, not by nobody. So we need this help. They hire locally. What's
Right.
going to happen with us?
So,
Work, we got children.
right, I appreciate it. The vision, as I said, is that one, we're trying to relieve pressure on small businesses by reducing the fines that have been historically leveled against them, and we're trying to provide legal assistance to small businesses if they are threatened by the building owners in any way. Those are ways we can help. I want to be very straightforward. We don't have subsidies for small business. I mean, it would be a wonderful thing because a lot of us love our neighborhood small businesses, but we're not going to be able to use taxpayer dollars to help a small business stay afloat. What we can do is reduce the things that are negatives, not put so many fines and problems in the way, and if you have a legal problem, get you the legal assistance you need, and the commissioner is going to talk to you after.
And also, if I could just address, Christian, you run the Merchant Association. You know that every year I have funded the Kingsbridge Merchant Association, so that's not a true statement, and you know that I've been doing that.
Two questions.
Two questions. Let's go this side, over here, and then over here.
Hi.
Hey.
I live at 230th and Bailey Avenue, and we have an issue with all the traffic in the area because of the malls. We need red light cameras because the drivers in the area, they ignore the red light, turning onto the highway and coming out of the highway.
So you're saying they just go right by...
Yes, and I almost got hit on Monday.
Say exactly where again?
West 230th and Bailey Avenue. Also the intersection of Broadway.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't we start with the precinct? What are you doing on enforcement there?
On Monday, we had a fatality on
Yes.
Broadway.
Thank you.
Right at 230th and at Kingsbridge Road at Bailey, there's a speed camera in front of the school south of Bailey. We do speed enforcement north of Bailey on Bailey Avenue, and also 230th Street and Broadway and the exterior street intersection is one of our busiest accident locations and our most enforcement area. On Bailey, north and southbound, we conduct speeding enforcement there. There's no red light cameras at that location.
There is a speed camera there, though.
There is a speed camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want them to follow. Okay, just rather than debate it, they will follow up with you directly because obviously we take very seriously that location. So I want to make sure we have everything we need there. Thank you.
Right over here.
There's a final question.
Final question.
The final question.
My name is Enrique Colon, and I'm a member of the Bronx Coalition for Community Vision. And my question is regarding the city's plan to rezone 73 blocks along Jerome Avenue. And my question is, do you commit to build true affordable housing in the Jerome Avenue sector when the average income is $25,000 or less? And also, will the city commit to strong anti-harassment and anti-displacement policies for both the tenants in the community and the businesses before ULURP starts?
Yes, these are great questions. On the anti-eviction strategies, the right to counsel legislation has now taken us, and I know you know it, you probably were one of the people who helped fight for it. That's taken us into a whole nother world in terms of being able to now automatically provide that anti-harassment, anti-eviction service to everyone. And certainly in terms of the businesses, we want the same reality, and that's something we'd be happy to have part of the rezoning package. On the affordability, absolutely the reason to do the rezoning, in my view, is to take advantage of the things we now have, mandatory inclusionary housing, the new 421A, which is much more affordable housing focused, and use that to leverage the maximum affordable housing. In terms of income levels, yes, we want to peg it to the maximum to the community. Will every unit be at that level? No. But will a lot of the units be at that level? Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.